Well, good day, everyone. We don't have any fancy intro music for you, and I'm not even sure if I'm on Patreon. I think this is just a regular YouTube live stream. We're going to cover the visit of the stinker to see the king and all of his horses. Cheers, everyone. It's too early for me, so I hope Casper can jump in and save my arse. Now I've got to get some screenshots set up here. Some links to play while we're waiting. This is quite a special visit. Special boy gets a second royal invitation for whatever reason, to butter him up. Okay, Casper's somewhere backstage. I'm going to bring her in shortly. Hey, ya Tumblr witch, how you doing? Oh, I know I should have got up much earlier to set this up, but I did set my alarm for early, and I woke up to the sound of my alarm, but it had been ringing for a little while. Okay, Casper sent me a link. Let me see here. A summary. Danny, our other newest hostess with the mostest, is going to be joining us. She's been writing for us already. She's going to be having a segment of her own with gardening and such. We're going with the name Danny Diggs for now. Hey, Pitbull. Hey, Gloria. Glad you made it. Okay, let's bring in Danny since she's watching me backstage here for her debut. Danny, good morning from
Hey, morning. I'm here while I can be. I mean, I'm outside, so it's probably going to get noisy. Got to keep up with those garden chores, but I might drop out. We're waiting for the repairman to come fix the internet, so I'll be here when and if I can. I'll probably be dropping in and out.
Awesome. Okay, I'll keep my eye out for you.
Okay.
All right, gonna put you backstage again, unless you want to stay.
Sure. Yeah, I can stay for now unless it's too noisy. I mean, I can't hear what you guys can hear, so if the background is too noisy, then let me know and I'll drop out so I can get inside.
Gotcha. Okay, Casper, are you there? She keeps blinking in and out. Let me see if I can present this itinerary or whatever it is. Royals host Trump for first day of state visit at Windsor Castle as protests held in London. I like it. Is that page sharing? Here we go. Just a second here. Oh, I hope my laptop isn't going to be super slow.
I do love a good protest.
Yes. We do.
Let me tell you something. Having lived in London for a while, I can tell you with full certainty that the best protesters in the world are Brits and French people. Hands down.
I got to agree with you. Yep.
We got nothing on them, man. Nothing.
Okay, let's watch some of this.
president looks like he's really enjoying himself.
Well, it's great to be on, and I just like to thank the British people and the British government for this extremely warm reception that you provided to our president. It's a celebration of the special relationship between our countries that's crucial for our security and prosperity and for global prosperity. I think this is going to be a great meeting between Trump and Starmer, and they're going to get a lot done on security, energy security, big trade deals. I'm just really pleased with this so far.
And it really comes across, doesn't it, how close the president feels, how much warmth there is between him and King Charles.
It's just wonderful to see that. Look,
So much
Trump
warmth.
admires the UK. He has a special, there's a special place in his heart for the British people. You know, he has a golf course in Scotland. That's not the reason,
his
of course,
heart.
but this is
There's a
something
special
that's
place in his heart for white
to maintain a strong
people.
relationship. Our countries may have differences sometimes on political issues, maybe on Ukraine. That is not going to distract from this crucial special relationship that Trump believes in.
And it's interesting you mentioned that. You mentioned Ukraine. Obviously, you know, there are things which the UK and the US government do not agree on. Do you think that is going to be a problem when those things are potentially discussed at some point over the coming days? You know, how much of a difference do you think a state visit like this would do to the way in which President Trump views the UK?
Well, there's more than we agree on than disagree about Ukraine. Trump recently called Putin the aggressor in the war in Ukraine. Trump is angry with Putin over this war. He has a difference on how to proceed next. He wants to see Europe to stop buying energy from Russia. He would like to see Europe to commit to secondary sanctions against other states. He doesn't want the U.S. to do this alone. I think this can be worked out.
Let's talk a little bit about trade in particular, because the UK obviously enjoys a better deal than a lot of other countries worldwide. And yet the US isn't quite willing to go as far as the UK wants on trade. How is that circle going to be squared, do you think?
You know, I think there'll be progress on that. I believe the UK government was
Ooh,
very
that
smart to
circle
make a
can be
deal
squared
quickly
with
and
a
early.
sledgehammer.
And those of us who were going on the BBC and other channels had said that the countries who come in early to Trump are going to get the best deals. But I think Trump is open to negotiations. And if they're not happy with the current tariff arrangement with the U.S., this is the time for Starmer to see what kind of a deal he can get.
And let me ask you this, you know, we've been talking quite a lot about what the UK wants from the US, why this state visit matters to the UK government. What do you think President Trump wants from this state visit, other than obviously visiting his friends in the royal family and getting to spend time in a country that we know he feels very close to?
Tech and AI deals are a priority.
Money
but
and
also
gifts.
nuclear power. There's going to be some significant deals on small modular reactors. And this is crucial because if we're going to move away from fossil fuels, I think the world is realizing that can't be done just with solar and wind. We have to go to nuclear power. It's great to see that the UK recognizes that. And I think the US and the UK will be
Put all our
working
eggs
very
in one
closely
basket.
to advance this.
And let's look ahead to tomorrow, if we can. Tomorrow, of course, the president will be joining the Prime Minister at Chequers. There'll be, of course, talk between these two men. Now, we know that President Trump has described Sir Keir Starmer as a liberal, but has said that he likes him, and he does like him. There is a relationship there between these two men. What is it about Keir Starmer do you think the president likes so much?
I think they have a personal relationship. The chemistry has been there. And look,
Hey,
Republican
Smoky.
presidents have had great relationships with liberal prime ministers for many years. Tony Blair was a liberal, for example, and George W. Bush had a fantastic relationship with him. We have to accept who the British people vote in as their leader and work productively with them. And I think that's what Trump is doing.
Yeah.
And Fred, before I let you go, I mean,
Got a lot of product
obviously you
and-
worked as Chief of Staff, Executive Secretary of National Security Council during that first administration of President Trump. There was a state visit then too. What do you think has changed since then for the president in terms of
Well, it
how he
looks
views
like
the UK?
security is a big deal this time.
Oh,
And
really?
I
You think it's more serious this time?
I think there's a much bigger security threat. I know the British are up to that. We saw how they protected against the Olympics in London a few years ago. But I think the security threat is quite severe right now, and there's been extensive efforts to defend the state visit.
Okay, Fred Flights, it's been so good to talk to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to the world today about the state visit. Thanks once again.
Good to be here.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there have been so many.
Sorry, I'm mad,
today,
so I'm showing what I'm doing.
Pageantry.
Right.
It's been
We
one of
love the
those
hungry.
days where there's spectacular pictures and music, and all of that celebration has been out on display. The British do this so well, don't they? Let's take a look at these pictures. These are pictures that we have been given of the King and Queen surveying the preparations ahead of that state banquet. Now, a state banquet is a marvelous affair. It's a very formal affair. There are, of course, beautiful dishes on the menu. We're not quite sure what exactly is going to be served, but I'm sure what will definitely be served, and we can talk about now, is the relationship between the two countries and how that is going to change or not moving forward after this unprecedented state visit. Let's cross live and speak to our North America editor, Sarah Smith. And it's been such a full itinerary so far, Sarah. What do you think the President Trump camp think of how things have gone so far?
Yep, Gloria, I saw it.
Oh, I think he's looked very happy, hasn't he, on all of the images that we have seen so far. And we have seen but a lot of it, but heard very little, which of course is highly out of character for Donald Trump. But he's been attentively listening to his royal hosts as they've been showing him around in a manner that suggests he really does have a great deal of respect for the British royal family. And we know what one of his priorities was for this trip, because when he was speaking to reporters as he was traveling over, he said, this is going to be a beautiful event and you're going to get the best pictures. That does matter to him. There's TV images of him surrounded by all of this royal grandeur being beamed back to television.
Yeah, that's the important part, right? The pictures.
This is to be seen being honored in Windsor Castle means a very great deal to him and his public image. And this is a lot more about image than it is about any kind of serious politics or high-level diplomacy. There are not going to be any big deals
You
signed here.
think?
No,
You think?
agreements delivered. It's about flattering Donald Trump, playing to his love, his sentimental love of Britain, the royal family, and some of these more romantic notions of the nation, because staying on the right side of Donald Trump is important. Getting on the wrong side of him can be very, very costly. Other nations have found that out with punishingly high trade tariffs or other problems they've encountered. The UK has done very well so far in maintaining good relations with the Trump administration, and this trip is about seeing if we can keep it that way.
Absolutely. And Sarah, we're looking forward, aren't we, to a state banquet later on this evening. In fact, I think in a couple of hours' time. Obviously, we don't know what's on the menu.
Stop talking about the banquet. They burned food for hungry people.
Going to be shown exactly how the royals do things pretty brilliantly.
Yeah. I don't know how to do this with one hand, but I'm with y'all.
You don't get events in the United States where people are dressed up in white tie when there are quite so many jewels, tiaras, and sashes on display. And this is what they are here for, to revel in this kind of royal tradition, which is the one thing that even the grandeur of the White House cannot supply.
Make sure
and of
you
course,
nail
that's
down
it, there will be speeches. So that's the first time we will really hear from Donald Trump on this visit. But
wrap it out for a second. I got a delivery coming.
Particularly contentious at all. I'm sure he will be very, very polite to his hosts, as he has been being all day. Tomorrow at Chequers, when he's with the Prime Minister there, it all gets a little bit more political, but nothing too contentious. And there will be a joint press conference with the Prime Minister and the President tomorrow afternoon at Chequers, where I think both of them will be hoping that cheeky questions don't knock them off the good relations that they've been cementing here.
Sarah, I spoke to a guest just before you who served in the first Trump administration. He said, look, the big difference between this state visit and the first one was the amount of security this time. It has, the security is serious in comparison. Why is it that the president needs more security now than he did so many years ago?
Well, this is a man who survived 2 assassination attempts last year. And if you remember, just over a year ago in Pennsylvania, he came very, very close to being killed. And of course, this trip is happening in the aftermath of the murder of a right-wing activist in America, Charlie Kirk. So security around President Trump has been tightened in America as well.
Turning the volume
above
down
what it
so I
already
can
was for the
say
President
hello
of the
to
United States, which is
Casper.
pretty substantial. And the result, of course, has been that he's been kept away
Hello.
from seeing any of the
Yes,
protests
I
that have been
can.
happening, whether in central London or some smaller protests that have been taking place here in Windsor. But
How's
completely
things
out of
over
sight
there?
of the president, and that's another change
Fine.
from
This
the
has been
state
like
visit
the
in
TV
2019. This has
saturated
been
with
much
it
more
all
carefully
day. So it is
managed to make sure that he doesn't see anything that would distress or upset
over
him
the
in any
weekend.
way. And of
It
course,
was
that
all about the
keeps
funeral.
him and
One
his
of the
loyal
royals,
hosts more
one of the older royals had died. So
Oh,
all the coverage, that's why there wasn't a lot of coverage as to what was happening in the last day or two. So, you know, because it was all the coverage was on the royal that passed away. So it was Princess Michael.
who was that?
Princess Michael of Kent. So her husband would have been the Queen Elizabeth's cousin.
Oh, I see.
I think. Yeah. So yeah, she was pretty controversial herself. You know what I mean? You know, in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think most of them.
You know. Yeah. So, but it was funny that and in hearing the interview and it was supposed to be the oil tariff. Apparently, they were trying to get them reduced down to zero. So they were, and now they're not. They stopped that just before the visit. So I don't know what's going on. So, you know, and the steel tariffs. Steel tariffs. It was the steel tariffs. So it was. They were trying to
Steel,
keep it
yeah.
down to 0%. Yeah. But the only thing I can see in the papers and stuff about this, it's like they're saying, oh, you know, it's good. There's going to be a lot of investment in the UK, you know, as a result, you know, to do with like technology and stuff like that. And there was an announcement last week. The Bank of America are opening a business in Northern Ireland as well. So they are creating, I don't know, about over 1,000 jobs, I think. You know what I mean? So, you know, he's saying America first, but you know, like business doesn't work that way. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? And that proves it, you know. So yeah. But the protests, the ones the other day, led by donkeys, apparently were behind the projection, you know, on the Windsor. So they were.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So they're reason. So they are. They called it Orwellian in the Guardian. So they did. Orwellian arrest.
Even goddamn Elmo wore his "What Would Orwell Think" or something T-shirt. That makes me sick. When it really is Orwellian. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They
So I'm looking at my email. Did you send me a live link to what's going on?
That would have been the BBC News one this morning, and then I sent you one, I think, this afternoon. I'm not actually. Did I email that?
Oh, here it is. BBC Live.
Yeah. So that started to come through this morning.
All right.
So
Oh, it's the same one.
Stay in when in the US ambassador's residence. So he did last night. He didn't go to Windsor straight away. So he stayed there, and then they went there this morning. So they did where they did where they greeted and stuff, obviously, and then I think they got like a half overpass like thing or something because of the weather. So they did.
Yeah, I see the. Okay, I think I am streaming live already from that link. I guess this is what's going on. Right. Okay. So I don't have to switch anywhere else then.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's turn the volume back on and see what they have to say.
this stage, he's described him as a friend, but William said, "This is my father." So there's already a kind of a warmth. They then got in a carriage procession, which took them down past Frogmore Drive and to the quadrangle, where we've seen the latest, the inspection of the troops. And I think this is a kind of a show of pomp and pageantry. You know, one of the American White House officials said to me, you know, we just don't do this sort of thing in America. It's something that Britain can offer that really no other country can on this scale.
President Trump has expressed quite a lot of affection towards King Charles already, calling him his close friend. There will be points of difference, though, Kate, between them. Will they be avoided, do you think? I mean, King Charles is an avid environmentalist. What about the issue of Canada as well? Do you think he will just have to smooth that over or avoid those this evening?
I don't think this is an evening for any kind of difficult conversation, so I don't think there'll be anything like that on the agenda. But I do think that there have been differences in the past. You know, we've seen that raised with Trump before, and he said every time I see the king, he talks about environmental issues. So obviously it's not something that the king will shy away from behind the scenes. That private lunch might be a time for pleasantries, but it might also be a chance for the king to set a few things in motion with regards to other topics. But ultimately, this is about securing that strong relationship between the UK and US. They won't want anything to jeopardize the future conversations that will be coming with Sir Keir Starmer about trade deals. And this is all about sort of smoothing over that relationship.
And Kate, in terms of that moment where we saw Princess Catherine, Prince William, Queen Camilla and King Charles greeting President Trump and Melania, how reassuring will that be for many people when there have been concerns, particularly about the health of Princess Catherine and King Charles? And of course, Queen Camilla looking well after she's recovering from her sinus infection.
Yeah, that's right. I was there when they were meeting them just a few yards away. And the Queen did look well. You know, we know that she had this acute sinusitis yesterday, which prevented her from attending the Duchess of Kent's funeral. And of course, we know that the Princess of Wales has been through what Prince William described himself as a brutal year last year when she had chemotherapy treatment. So there will be a sign of reassurance. It will be very much a kind of public reassurance all round with regards to British might, you know, Britain as a kind of Britain PLC. But also on a personal level, you know, this is them looking well, back to business. It will be very reassuring, you're right.
And Kate, we can't wait to see what happens this evening, the pictures as well. Do you have any insights for us of what we can expect with the state banquet?
The state banquet is always the highlight of any state visit, and it will be, you know, the only time that we've seen a US president as the guest for a second unprecedented state banquet. So this will be at St. George's Hall. You know, we talk about glittering banquets and glittering galas, but it really will be glittering. You know, we have the jewels out. The table's been laid. It takes about a week to lay the table, 160 guests. It's quite spectacular. About 8:20, we expect the royal procession. They'll process into St. George's Hall, where the other guests would already be waiting. And there's most likely going to be a very special menu set out for them. Normally, we see a cocktail that's been devised especially. No doubt in this case, it'll probably be non-alcoholic because we know that Donald Trump doesn't drink. But every little detail would have been poured over for months now.
One of the details that people also pore over, I am one of them, is what everyone is wearing. The Princess of Wales wearing Amelia Wickstead today and a hat by Jane Taylor. Queen Camilla wearing a coat by Fiona Clare and a hat by Philip Treacy. These things really matter, don't they, Kate?
They do. You'll remember at the Macron state visit, which was also here in Windsor back in July, and we had very diplomatic dressing with the white, the red and the blue of the flags. And I think we might see that again tonight. You know, we might see kind of very diplomatic dressing in what the Queen decides to wear, and all eyes will be on the fashion.
Absolutely. A strong showing so far, though, for British designers, and we'll have to see what Melania Trump wears as well. Lots of focus will be on her, too. We'll keep you across all the developments from Windsor. I hope you can stay with us here on BBC News. Thanks for joining us.
I just realized whatever I'm watching here, it doesn't seem to be live. It seems to be the intro again to whatever happened already. Let me check those links again that you sent me. Okay, I don't see that live link. Did you send one?
I'll exit out again and then email you and then come back in. Is that okay?
All right. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
could, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it,
no problem.
and send me the Channel 4 link too, please. That loop of
Channel
lies.
4, yeah, normally they don't, that'll be during their adverts and stuff like that. So you
Gotcha.
probably need to be watching it, you know, live from the UK, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
we can talk about it though. The fact that they're doing it is a good thing anyway, isn't it? You know, so but,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll try and get this now for you. So
All right.
okay.
Sorry. Once again,
No, don't worry at all.
I meant to be up earlier and have it all ready to go, but my dumb ass just went by the seat of its pants. Right. Casper will be back. Yes, no kidding, Lane. It's a huge waste of money. They should have just given him the big old middle finger and told him to, you know, take his tariffs and piss off. I don't know what the point of all of this is, really. Because the only things I can think of are Epstein and Andrew. Please don't say anything about any more of our royals. Maybe there's more of them in the files. Oh, I'm going to get myself thrown off the air. Oh, dear. Well, let's watch whatever the heck this was then, some more.
Presidents from Google, Microsoft, all sorts of heavy tech bias on this, because a US-UK tech partnership is the centerpiece of what's going to be announced. And this is not the most political of visits, and this is not the most significant deal that has ever been or ever will be done between the US and the UK, but it's the showpiece that the president is bringing with him. And it will result in tens of billions of pounds worth of investment from these high-tech firms into the UK in building AI development centers. It will bring jobs. It's meant to bring, you know, not only prosperity, but keeping Britain as well as the US at the forefront of the AI revolution. And all of that is important stuff. But fundamentally, this isn't a trip that's actually about doing business or sealing any deals. It's about keeping the relationship warm and keeping it going in order that Britain can maintain what influence it has with the United States, keeping the president on side and allowing us, therefore, in the UK to avoid the worst of some of what Donald Trump's imposed on other nations, like, for instance, much higher trading tariffs than the UK has been subjected to.
I think it's basically the same stream that the Guardian's doing as well, Laura. So this is just that picture of Windsor.
This is BBC News, the headlines. President Trump has been welcomed to Windsor, where he met the Prince and Princess of Wales off Air Force One, Marine One rather, before King Charles and Queen Camilla welcomed the President and First Lady. The six of them then took part in a covered carriage procession through the grounds of Windsor towards the castle. And President Trump was then invited to carry out an inspection of the guard with the King. President Trump and the King are now inside the castle for a private lunch ahead of a joint flypast we're expecting later this afternoon. Hello, I'm Lucy Hockings. Good to have you with us on BBC News Now. President Trump has been greeted by the King and Queen as he arrived at Windsor Castle on the first full day of his second state visit to the UK. After flying by helicopter from central London, Mr. Trump and Melania, his wife, were taken by horse-drawn carriage to the castle. Later, there will be a flypast by the Red Arrows and a state banquet this evening. Tom Simons reports now on events so far.
When Sir Keir Starmer handed Donald Trump a letter from the King last year, the Prime Minister said it was a really special invite. Reality this morning involved the unpredictable British weather and the iron grip of the security lockdown required to protect the world's most powerful man. But Donald Trump arrived from grey skies on Marine One for a royal and military extravaganza designed to impress but reduce any political or actual risks. The President and First Lady emerged to be met by the Prince and Princess of Wales. This is significantly his second state visit, the first hosted by the late Queen. President Trump claims to have been friends with the King for some years. He'll have plenty of time to cement that friendship today with a lunch and a state banquet this evening, both at Windsor because of renovations at Buckingham Palace. The weather resulted in a switch from the preferred open carriages, and this procession was entirely within the grounds of Windsor Castle for security reasons. There were no opportunities this morning for either Donald Trump's supporters or protesters to see the president. The ceremonial show began with the sovereign's escort of the household cavalry and continued with 3 of the oldest army regiments. Defence officials said an exceptional extra-large Guard of Honour had been deployed, language which seemed, intentionally or not, to echo words Donald Trump might use. The main politics will be tomorrow. The president told the media before he left he would discuss Trump.
Hey guys, I'm just setting up the live link. I don't know why it's giving me problems. Here we are, okay. I hear thunder.
We've been getting like monsoon rain, so I have.
Jeez. His hair will get wet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how come it says it's I'm showing a live, but it doesn't seem to be actually live. I don't get it.
Yeah, the in the Guardian, yeah.
Yeah, but I went. Go ahead.
No, the Guardian thing I'm on, it's just showing like footage of Windsor Castle. So it is.
Yeah.
So I think if they're in there now having dinner. Or
Well, I just went to look up BBC Live, BBC News.
Yeah.
And all it's giving me is the same video. It's not actually alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do that sometimes.
Oh, I see. So they're actually having dinner now. The banquet has started.
Well, it is supposed to be this evening at some stage, so I take it it'll be happening soon. So hopefully,
yeah,
I'm sure they'll allow the press in for the speeches.
Okay.
So it's just like press aren't like allowed on royal grounds. You know what I mean? So they would have to be, invited in. It's not, they just can't go there. Like even the police need permission to go into royal grounds, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Well, I thought they would have had
it.
I just thought they would have had it all set up to stream from inside, since this is such a big deal. But so they will eventually. Eventually they'll go live from the banquet. Okay, so in the meantime we just have to make do with the other previously recorded stuff. So that Channel 4 All Lies loop can I find that separately? Is that in the list of things you sent me? I'm sorry to be a pain.
I think it was in the first one that I sent you. And I think so.
Oh yes, here, yeah. Okay, found it. All right. Channel 4 to mark Trump's UK visit with the longest interrupted reel of untruths. Broadcaster to dedicate Wednesday night's schedule to unpicking U.S. president's false or misleading statements. Okay. That was a story to go with it. It's not the link to the... oh, wait. Hang on. Let me click this thingy. Clickety, click, click, click. No, that didn't work. Channel 4. Where would I look for that? Do I just like type in Channel 4?
Yeah, Channel 4 UK.
Yeah.
Channel 4 UK.
So you can't send me a link to that?
It's just the
the KKK was founded by Scots, as far as he knows, says none of your business. Really? What? They might not go live at all if they're worried that someone might say something. You just learn the whole reason why the right likes Trump so much is that his mother was Scottish. KKK was founded by Scots, as far as they know. Their husband's family is from and lives in Scotland, and so they did a ton of research on this when they learned this. Yeah, Goth says most Scots hate him, including this Canadian Scot. Nunya says they were Confederate soldiers. Okay, well, that's all interesting. I'll have to check into that at some point. I was not aware. But I thought his father was the one that was in the KKK, and he was of German descent, so I don't know. Who knows? They're all full of hate, that family.
There is no live Channel 4 stream on
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay, thanks, Casper. Okay. Gee.
I'm not sure actually if you could even watch. There's an app thing, but I'm not sure if it's available outside of the UK. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's just look at a couple of the other clips you sent from the BBC. Trump given spectacular royal welcome. Oh, gee. I hope it's spectacularly bad. Hang on. What's this? Come on. There we go. A lavish ceremonial welcome from the king.
I think they're trying to, they're trying their best to keep him, happy. Especially tomorrow when they go to Checkers, like I'm sure Keir Starmer will be talking, to him about like business things and stuff like that as well, so.
When they go to where? I keep hearing it as Checkers.
Yeah, Checkers. Yeah, that's what it's called. It's like it's the residence, I think. It's like one of the residences of one of the Prime Minister. So it is, or it's somebody in the government, literally that's like their official house. You know the way to get I don't know the way it works in America, in Canada, does the Prime Minister like
Right. Like storing away is like the opposition's.
Weekend, that would be like this weekend,
Okay. Nanya says Trump's mother was Marianne McLeod Trump, yeah. Gothengo says, yes, many Scots fought against the English in Revolution. Then many opened plantations, Irish too. My great-grand was Irish and great-grand Scottish. All right. There's my Scottish ancestors landed on Long Island and then made their way up the coast in the Maritimes. And then some were fighting for the crown, and then it got pushed into Canada. Yeah, they were loyalists. But we don't have KKK in Canada that I'm aware of. We have our racists, but I don't think we ever had chapters of KKK. All right, so that's just a story. There's no video with this. There's just pictures. All right. What else have we got here? The ego has landed, Dawn in, none out. I like that headline. The ego has landed.
Okay. Some of the papers are pretty funny. So they are.
Andrew, back in the fold? Oh, God. Ugh. That's a great one. All right. Excuse me. What's going on now? Why is it going dark on me? Oh, it wants me to. Dang, paywalls. Why Trump's UK. Sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say, I think the main thing just going on at the minute is the protests in London. So it is, but obviously he's well away from them, you know, so.
Yeah.
It says there 10 minutes ago, it says ahead of this evening's state banquet. So the King and Queen have personally inspected the banquet table in St. George's Hall. So.
Okay, so let me see. Is there anyone that's covering the protests? Are there any protests going on right now that I can look for? Or was that all like earlier?
I think, yeah.
UK protests.
Earlier, yeah, I think it was earlier. So the royal family have put up a thing on their Twitter or their, what's it called, X. So they have of them inspecting the banquet table.
Okay. Back to the Guardian streams.
Yeah, it says in the Guardian, it says a few dozen people remained outside Windsor Castle after the Red Arrows bypass.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had Make America Great hats and stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm just looking for some live footage of it.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot, does there? You know.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Hang on, maybe we can find it. About 5,000 people attending anti-Trump rally in Westminster. Yeah, I don't see anything. Just, there's thousands of anti-Trump protesters.
Sky News apparently is live.
Sky News?
Yeah, Sky News.
Latest from the UK and around the world. Let's see now. Watch live. Alrighty. I'm unable to watch. I just want to say that I can also listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Video is currently unavailable. God damn.
Right.
I can only play audio.
Geo-block. That's the thing.
Fucking Canada. Fuck. We should automatically have access to everything in the UK. Search YouTube for this, and it says live UK demonstrators rally against US president. Okay. Thanks, Nanya. Saving my butt.
Thank you. I'm just having a look here and I can't.
Oh, thank you. Reuters has it.
Reuters.
All right. We're all out there in the rain. Good on them. There's no sound, but we can talk over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bit of sound. I hear cheers. Cheers and thunder. There should be thundering cheers or thundering boos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is it not showing? Hang on. There we go. Dumbass. Yeah, I can hear someone speaking up there. Someone laughing too. Hiya, cold water. Dawkins has to get their harvest inside and start canning tomatoes before the spoons run out. Okay, all right. Cheers.
Thank you very much for showing quite a lot of condemnation of Donald Trump today. So I'm not going to give you more condemnation, otherwise you wouldn't be here. We have to face an uncomfortable reality. Mr. Donald Trump was elected twice in the United States. The Reform Party are on track to be the largest party in government at the next general election. We have far-right parties. We have far-right parties in Europe, either in government or in governing coalitions. So we need to understand, how do we defeat these people? What do we do next? Firstly, we have to understand the people that voted for Donald Trump and the people that are voting for reform. Where do they come from? In some of the most deprived parts of the country.
That would be good, Danya.
Industry. Areas that have lost communities built around industry. Places where there is no sense of hope. Places where there is no social infrastructure. Your pubs, your parks, your places where people can come together.
Wonder if I can get a tighter shot on that.
People like Donald Trump and Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson. Those are the places people.
Probably not. They're probably keeping everybody
Are
back.
angry, and they're right to be angry. We are angry as well. We are angry about the lack of investment in working class communities. We are angry about the decline of our industries. We are angry about the decline of our communities, and that is what we fight for. Because the working class in Britain is not just white, it is black, it is Asian, it is LGBT.
Yeah.
It is a migrant worker as well, the most exploited workers in Britain. So we are right to be angry. But who are we angry at? Are we angry at a man who comes on a small boat with his belongings in a bag from a war-torn country that often our own government have destabilized in the name of profit? Are we angry at a vulnerable migrant worker at an asylum seeker with a small living allowance? Are they our enemies? Are they the people who destroyed our industries? Are they the people who have failed since 1960 to build in our social housing? Are they our enemies? Are they our oppressors? No, they are not. We know who our oppressors are. We are all being mugged off. We are all being shafted. We are being shafted by those energy companies who rip us off. We are being shafted by dodgy landlords. We are being shafted by exploitative bosses. We are being shafted by politicians who refuse to invest in working class communities, who play the game of division because they have no solutions for working class people in Britain. They only have scapegoats. They've always only had scapegoats. Whether it was Jewish people fleeing the pogroms in Eastern Europe, whether it was the Irish, whether it was the West Indians, whether it was the South Asians, and whether it's the asylum seekers now. That is the game they play. So do not think that when reforms fall on their own sword and fail to fix the problems in Britain, do not think that when they cut migration, that people will start to get together and things will get better. Because they will find a new target. It will be Muslims and multiculturalism. It will be the established minority communities. We cannot rely on Westminster. We have to organize for ourselves. So I implore you, outside of this city in the northeast of England, in Wales, in parts of Yorkshire, minority communities are living in fear. We all have a duty to go and support those people. We have a duty to build connections in those working class communities, those mining communities, those deprived seaside towns. We have a duty and a responsibility. If you want to make asylum seekers feel safer, we cannot just preach to the converted. We have plenty of priests. We cannot just preach to the choir. We have to go out there and make the argument. Do not shy away from the arguments around the asylum system. Address it head on and address tax avoidance and address housing and address the everyday problems that our communities face. We have just set up a new anti-racist monitoring organization called Radar, reporting and documenting acts of racism. You can check out our website. If you have been a victim of racism, you can report it. We will be documenting racism across the country. We will be putting pressure on authorities. We will be putting pressure on the media to report on racism, because we are doing it for ourselves. We are independently funded. We are organizing for ourselves, and we also need to defend communities at risk of violence. On the 27th of September, UKIP, what remains of UKIP, are calling for mass deportations in Newcastle. Tommy Robinson will be in Newcastle as well. The Northeast is one of the most geographically isolated regions in Britain. The ethnic minority communities have asked that we support them. So please make an effort to support our brothers and sisters in the northeast of England. Please make an effort to get out of London and go to these regions and provide solidarity. A lot of people feel pessimistic right now. A lot of people feel there is no hope. I do not believe there is no hope. I believe there is an anti-racist majority in this country. And as the late and great Malcolm X said, we are not outnumbered, we are out-organized. And that's what it comes down to. Who's better organized, us or them? Solidarity.
Solidarity, everybody! I would now like to invite the entire Stop Trump team onto the stage. Please give a massive round of applause to all of the speakers that you saw today. There is a protest to make them pay money off tech oligarchs. That's happening on the 20th of September this Saturday. I would now like to hand you over to one of the people who has put this whole thing together and organised it. Please give a massive round of applause to all the volunteers and, of course, the brilliant Zoe Gardner!
Thank you so much for being here, everybody. I'm so grateful that we have shown our power today. Because we are here today, Donald Trump couldn't show his face in London. We scared him away. And what's that saying? They're saying taco, right? Trump always chickens out. And he chickened out on London today. Because of us. Because of us. Now, I know a lot of you see a lot of the work I do. That's because I put myself out there on TV and you see my face. But often I get praised for things that the whole friggin' movement is doing, right? So I wanted to make it clear that we're a movement, we're a team. I never do any of this on my own. I'm never alone when I'm in front of the camera. I'm always speaking up for every decent person in this country. Every decent person who rejects the hatred. And today is only the beginning of this movement because we have to keep going. The far right, they are trying to scare us. They're trying to scare us. And I've seen a study, but I didn't need to see that study. We know that they're scaring us. That they're scaring brown and black people in this country. That they're frightened of being attacked. And that makes me so angry. And so I'm telling you today, if you're white and British, you stand up for migrants. You use your voice. You use it. Because this is our country. This is our country. We don't want Trump. We don't want Tommy. We don't want courage. We don't want the far right. Thank you so much for being here today. We've got amazing speakers to play us out. Sign up on the website. Keep coming out. We're going to build this movement. Thank you so much. Solidarity.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up. I'm not sure if we're already on YouTube or if we're, I don't know where we are.
Migrants welcome Trump fuck off. Migrants welcome Trump fuck off. Migrants welcome Trump fuck off.
Yeah, we're already on YouTube, I think. I don't know. Doug set it all up for me. Oh, okay, now I switched to public. All right, we're publicly live on YouTube. Yay! It was unlisted before. All right. I think we are live on YouTube. That's all that matters. Okay, Nanya, thank you. Gosh, this shouldn't be so confusing for me, but we're always learning. One day I will have everything I need to know, and then I'll die.
The stand for my tablet broke off the back of it about 10 minutes before I was hitting the StreamYard link. So it did. So that's why my camera isn't on, because I'm having to put it up a different way, if you know what I mean. It's precariously balanced here. It's like,
Yeah.
So it is.
Tanya says having multiple monitors helps. It sure does, but you know, I'm not that rich, and I usually have multiple devices, but currently my devices are not cooperating, so I only have one laptop and my phone. I'd love to get a desktop. I'm saving up.
Yeah, I just have a tablet. So it is.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, I
no
have a tablet
microphone.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Now that I think of it.
yeah. The that's all I have though. I don't have a microphone or lighting or anything like that, or even a proper
Yeah,
space.
you're coming through
You know.
okay. There's a little bit of a crackle sometimes, but otherwise I can make you out fine.
Oh, well, that's good. So it is because I've been on other streams and people have said that they can't hear me at all, and obviously I don't know what I've tried everything in the volume settings, so I did, and it still didn't work. So I don't know. So hopefully everyone can hear me.
A musical interlude now.
Yeah.
You know who this is, Casper?
I'm not sure. So I'm not. I had Zoe Gardner on. She was speaking there. She was one of the last speakers. She's pretty well known on the kind of left of things. You know, she does very good articles and stuff like that for the Guardian, and I think she's been on a lot of things. You know, she put on like mainstream TV and stuff, and argues her points and stuff like that. You know, so the they were talking, one of the guys there was talking about, you know, like the energy companies and the water companies and stuff, and it's because basically in the UK a lot of them are all privatized, so the private companies come in and basically rake up a lot of debt, put everyone's bills up, and don't put anything into the infrastructure. So last summer, basically, England, the rivers, like there was just so many water companies. There was like this map, and it was like dangerous. Like you couldn't even let your dog go in the water. Like that's how toxic it was. So you know what I mean? And it was literally like there was people at an oyster festival somewhere down in the south coast. I remember seeing about, and literally they all like got food poisoning because they were local oysters because the water was so polluted.
Oh, I heard
Yeah.
something
So
about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
you know, yeah. But these water companies, like they're still making, you know, like all their shareholders are still making, you know, more money, you know what I mean? But the infrastructure, it's just not there. And as I said, a lot of them are like privately owned. So like Thames Water is owned by a whole lot of different, like even different countries, like have entities in like Thames Water and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Whereas normally with other countries in Europe, you know, a lot the country would own that. You know what I mean? Like for things like water and energy and stuff like that. You know, it would, you know, there would be more of like a state hand in it. You know what I mean? But that was one of Maggie Thatcher's great ideas to privatize everything. You know, and that's what he's saying too about housing. It's really hard here to try to get a house or even like to try to get affordable rent. You know what I mean? Like there's a massive housing shortage. So there
I
is,
think that's pretty much
you know,
universal, but yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
It's
Sonia,
the fact.
welcome.
Hi. It's the fact as well that it's not the fact that there isn't houses being built, but it's the affordability of them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like, there was
yeah.
plenty of like big, you know, tall buildings with fancy apartments and stuff. You
Yeah.
know, but there's, you know, there's
Well,
no real, you know, family homes anymore. You know.
right, right. Nobody wants a friggin' condo either. They've been building all these damn condos in Vancouver, and nobody wants to move in.
Yeah.
They're way out of league. Well, anyway, a lot of them are bought up by, yeah, private
Yeah.
interests and foreign people, and they don't ever spend any time there. They just sit empty. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I think I forget how many billions our government has just designated for affordable housing. I know
Right.
BC is in a deficit, but we're still trying to build. Yeah.
I think it's hard.
Nanya says the human population is growing faster than we can build homes. There are laws to slow down building to protect the environment. Their city had to stop construction because they couldn't get water out to where they were going to build. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. They just, I don't know, don't seem to do this
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. But then
Let me have
that's like one of the like things that's fueling a lot of the anti-immigrant sentiment as well.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, the housing thing, you know,
yeah,
and the and the fact that as well, like the health service has kind of been run down as
yeah.
well. You know,
Sounds a
and
lot like here. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, so it's so all that it plays in to all the that whole circle, so it does.
looks like that stream just went dark.
Oh,
Let's see who else might be covering it. Is this the same feed or different feed? What time is it? It's just after 11 a.m. here, so that means it's 8 p.m. in London.
7,
Is that right?
7,
7?
yeah.
Oh, well, that event is ended. Okay, what else have we got? See, GBN? CBN? GBN. This is probably ended too. I like that giant South Park Trump head. Yeah, all of the coverage of the protests have ended. And nothing on the Guardian page yet. Further live coverage is expected. All right, so I guess this is where this the banquet will be covered on the Guardian. Okay. Nanya says they're an environmental science student in college who is thinking about mastering water management. Super concerned about what Trump wants to do. What time does the protest end? It just ended, it looks like. It's getting dark there. I imagine there won't be coverage until people move somewhere and do something. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the oh, look at my hair. I'm just waiting for the banquet coverage to start, and I'm not sure when or that will start being covered, the speeches and all that stuff. So let me see if there's anything else Casper sent. Let's see. I was hoping to see that lies reel. I don't know why I can't find that anywhere. The loop of lies. Are we sure they're doing that? The speeches at the you mean the banquet speeches? I sure as hell hope so. Because otherwise I'm going to look like a real idiot. Yeah. As far as I know, we're supposed to get some coverage of these speeches I mean, otherwise, why would they give a speech? We're just waiting to see whether the Guardian is going to cover it. It says further coverage is expected. I don't know what that means, but let me see if I can find something just by tooling around here. Yeah, Casper, when we were talking about the climate and our hair getting curly, you have such nice long straight hair. Mine's short, but yeah, it gets all wild when it's rainy outside.
Yeah. I always have an umbrella, so and a coat with a hood in case it rains here a lot.
Yeah, TV2's covering Channel 4. Okay, he found it.
Right. Where?
Hang on. I'll just share his screen. Save me time. Thanks, TV2. I do.
Towards Donald Trump. But what we've just dished up here at Windsor Castle is our equivalent to that, isn't it?
Yes, it's extraordinary. I lived in London for some 15 years, and I've never seen anything like this. I think the hard question is the one that Jonathan Powell, the National Security Advisor to Keir Starmer, raised, is can progress be made on the issue where Donald Trump can make a difference? If Keir Starmer can help persuade him that it's enough already with Vladimir Putin, that it's time to put pressure on Putin, if nothing else, to convince him he can't win on the battlefield, that it's going to be years and years and years more slaughter. And that's the most important issue on the table, really, at this summit, I think.
Right. King Derek, you know, I wonder what actually came up in the privacy of the Golden Carriage, whether King Charles mentioned any of these things to the president. Maybe he didn't, maybe he kept it to small talk. And of course, Keir Starmer will try and talk to him about these things today, tonight at the banquet and tomorrow. But do you think it'll make any difference? Do you think that Trump will remember and act on whatever he might promise the Prime Minister?
On King Charles, Matt, we're never going to know, are we? But he's a very accomplished diplomat and he can make his points with subtlety and discretion. So don't rule it out that he has talked about, for example, what's going on in Ukraine or talked about what's going on in Gaza, because I'm sure there are things he cares about deeply. In terms of how Keir Starmer handles it, look, I don't particularly expect big public breakthroughs in the press conference tomorrow. It's more that you have to keep chipping away on all these points, keep making the arguments, press the president on how he sees things and where he thinks he's going with Putin and how he feels about that, what looks like a totally unsuccessful summit in Alaska, and plant some ideas in his mind. The Europeans have shifted Trump a bit since that disastrous meeting with Zelensky in the Oval Office a few weeks ago. So it's not impossible.
Now, today was very stage managed, you know, the royal pageantry at its smoothest, at its best. Tomorrow, with the press conference, things could get a little bit frothy and unpredictable. What would you be more afraid of if you were still ambassador? Would it be questions about Jeffrey Epstein, which connects the king, the prime minister, and the president, or something about Gaza?
There's a few things, Matt. I would be, first of all, I hear the press conference is going to be quite tightly controlled with a specified number of questions for each side. So you're not all going to get around to ask questions, I'm afraid. Second, I'd be a bit worried about Epstein and The British press certainly, I'm sure some of the Americans, can ask some quite clever, quite loaded questions actually. And who knows what Trump might say. You wouldn't want Trump to be drawn into commenting on whether or not Peter Mandelson should have been fired.
Please draw him
And then the
into
other thing that I
commenting.
hope
Please.
doesn't come up in a bad way in the press conference is this Trump idea that Europeans now need to put tariffs, high tariffs on trade with China and Russia in order to put pressure on Putin alongside the Americans doing that. That's going to be very difficult, contentious, and potentially quite divisive. I mean, we'll try and find a way through in the UK. It'll be very hard for the Continentals. And so that's a split that you can see opening up quite quickly.
James Rubin, let me ask you about Gaza. We know that the British Prime Minister has promised that he will recognize an independent Palestinian state along with France and Spain and other European countries. And we also know that Donald Trump is very much against that. How much do you think Gaza will become a point of real contention between the Prime Minister and the President tomorrow?
I actually don't think it will be a point of contention, precisely because President Trump and his team were very, very close to a deal to end the war just a couple of weeks ago. And they I believe, and it's my information, that it was very, very close, that an agreement had been struck of how to get the Israeli forces out, how to get Arabs in to control the borders. And then Israel struck Qatar and destroyed that deal. And Donald Trump and the Trump administration were taken aback by that. It wasn't something they wanted to see happen. You combined that anger that really was real. They were not happy about it because it ruined America's, not ruined, but it damaged America's relationship with those allies. Now you have the Israelis going into Gaza City and slaughtering people in real dangerous ways. You can't control that number of people. You can't control those number of forces. So I think Donald Trump and Keir Starmer may actually find themselves more in agreement than usual. And the issue of the Palestinian state recognition is not that big a deal to the United States. It's something the Israelis would prefer to not see happen, but it doesn't affect us.
Right, we've got a bit of a protest going on behind us there. Some disagreements. In fact, some Palestinian flags and the other side represented as well. So this is very much a live issue in British politics and will be one indeed tomorrow. I wonder, Jamie Rubin, if we can turn it around. I mean, we look at the relationship between the powerful president and the rather unpopular, less powerful prime minister.
Wow.
It is the real story of recent months that they're both, in a way, powerless. President Trump on the world stage, because even his best friends aren't listening to him. He allowed the Israelis to bomb Qatar. And of course, Prime Minister Starmer at home. And that's quite an uneasy relationship.
Well, I think it's a fair point. Look, they're not naturally political allies. There couldn't be more different people, Keir Starmer and Donald Trump. A CEO, a guy who says whatever he wants, has managed to be president to the surprise of everyone and loves big pomp and circumstance. And Keir Starmer, much more buttoned up, a very careful man. So they're not natural allies politically or personally. And obviously, neither of them have been able to get good business done on the world stage. Donald Trump says, and I think it's one of his better qualities, that he wants to win a Nobel Peace Prize and tries his hardest, he says, to do what's necessary between India and Pakistan, where he didn't play a role. But now he could play a role in Gaza. He could play a role in Ukraine. And I think together they can cook up ways, for example, to call Vladimir Putin and tell him, we've got new information. It's going to take you 5, 6, 7 years to make any real progress on the ground. Do you really want to do that? And if Putin doesn't respond, then maybe we can finally get that pressure from Donald Trump, which might make a difference. So I think there's a chance for progress because they both, as you say, are not in great shape.
Right. Kim Darroch, let me turn to you again. I mean, in the past, when there were wrinkles between a president and the prime minister, and there have been plenty of those occasions, at the end of the day, like a tongue returning to an aching tooth, you could always go on about shared values and, the deep history of that special relationship. But in terms of values, there is an ocean between these two governments, isn't there? And that cannot be bridged so easily.
Well, There are different ends of the political spectrum, and they take rather different views on a number of the big issues in both foreign and domestic policy at the moment, but especially domestic policy. So yes, there is a gulf between them, but I don't think that Donald Trump is the kind to start, as it were, waffling on about values if he thinks things are different. He tends to answer the questions he's asked. So we're lucky that Starmer has struck up a better relationship than many of us expected with Trump. There's a lot of business to be done tomorrow, Matt, but I don't think that they're going to be, when you come to the press conference, going to be talking a great deal about the special relationship and shared values and all that. They'll talk about the substance and what they've done, I'm sure.
In 5 seconds, Kim Darroch, is the royal family the best foreign policy tool that this country has?
It's a very good, very effective soft power tool that we don't deploy it very often. There's about 2 or 3 state visits a year, but particularly with this king, who, as I say, is a very accomplished diplomat, they can do a lot. So we're lucky to have them.
Okay. Kim Darroch, Jamie Rubin, thank you very much indeed to both of you. Let's bring in our US editor, Anushka Astana, who's also made the trip across the Atlantic, although not on Air Force One, I think. Anushka, this must be the stuff of Donald Trump's dreams.
Oh, they definitely, Matt, know the way to his heart. You know, Downing Street, they studied him really, really carefully. They know that he wants everything to be bigger and better for him. You know, he even said he thinks that Windsor Castle was a special touch just for him. Don't tell him that it's really because Buckingham Palace is having building works right now and President Macron got the same treatment. But look, as you've made clear, it's not really about the pomp. It's about the policy conversations that are happening right now behind the scenes. And we'll talk about the economic potential gains. But some of the disagreements are really important to the Americans. I mean, Donald Trump is unraveling climate policy in America. So that conversation with the king that we'll never know about could be quite awkward. On Gaza, you know, the Americans are angry about the idea that the UK is about to recognise Palestinian statehood. And a big one, free speech. Earlier, I was speaking to Niall Gardner from the Heritage Foundation, very close to Donald Trump. And he said, look, to Americans, we really are special. They see the UK as special. But he says there will be some difficult conversations.
Donald Trump is a big supporter of the US-UK special relationship. He's the most pro-British US president, I think, of the modern era.
But there are some big ideological divides, especially at the moment, and the administration has been particularly critical of the UK over free speech.
Yes, I think the key issue for the US administration is the issue of individuals being arrested for what they've said on X, for example, or Facebook and social media, and that is seen as quite Orwellian, actually. And so I do think the issue may be raised in the discussions between the British Prime Minister and the US President.
Now, what critics say is that Donald Trump's reaction to the killing of political activist, his friend Charlie Kirk, to crack down on liberal groups is hypocritical. It's free speech for the right, but not for the left. But let me just talk about the positives, the potential economic gains, because some of them are real. Americans really think we're at the front of the queue for a trade deal. Car sales actually increased in July from the UK to the US because of tariff cuts. But here's the thing. Sources tell me Donald Trump thinks the whole deal is done. But actually, there are tensions within his team between Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Jamieson Greer on trade. I'm told that they come with different approaches. There's real disappointment about steel, and Americans are apparently outraged that we don't want some of their meat, like chlorinated chicken. They say
outrageous.
They say that is a high enough standard, and why is it that the UK don't want that? So look, the trade deal is underway, but there is still some way to go.
I'm sure they're not having chlorinated chicken tonight for the state banquet.
Definitely not.
We'll never know if they do. Thank you very much. Well, let's now take a closer look at the potential economic benefits of this trip for the UK, with those promises from US tech firms to invest £31 billion here in Britain. Our economics correspondent Helia Ebrahimi has been talking to the CEO of US chip giant NVIDIA about that very subject. But first, the US Federal Reserve has just announced the interest rate cut that President Trump has been so desperate for. What more can you tell us, Helia?
Well, Matt, that decision has just been taken. The Federal Reserve, after a year, has finally cut interest rates by 1/4 of a point. That's after a massive standoff between the president and the Fed. The Fed was very worried that tariffs were going to cause inflation, and he launched this assault on the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, which sparked huge anxieties about the independence of the Fed. Well, this will be seen as a massive victory for the president. And when we're talking about victories, let's turn to this week's trip and the US trade deal, because earlier today we spoke to the chief executive of NVIDIA, now the world's largest company, about what these tech deals mean, not just for Britain, but about the new industrial revolution.
Our brand new GeForce.
Meet the man who built a $4 trillion company, NVIDIA, now even bigger than Google, Microsoft, or even Apple. He's flown in with President Trump as part of an array of US-UK tech deals and a boost for Keir Starmer, who's desperately looking for good news.
Artificial intelligence is
When I
the
hear
most impactful
NVIDIA,
technology
I
of our
hear
time.
insidious.
This is an important area for every country, the United States, China, the UK, and just about every other.
The Prime Minister made a pact with the NVIDIA boss in June to deploy all the government's resources to roll out a new generation of cutting-edge data centers.
Physical AI isn't just driving on roads.
Today, the government announced more than £30 billion of tech deals with US companies to bring data centres to the northeast of England, Hertfordshire and the London Docklands. So will AI rescue the UK economy?
For the next generation of robotics.
You talked a lot earlier about the Prime Minister having internalised your warning about building more infrastructure. Does the UK government get it?
Oh, absolutely. That's why we're back here again. Wow.
Enough for us to be a world AI superpower?
It's enough to get launched. It's not enough for the long term. You're going to have to build. You're going to have to keep doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling every single year. And I think that you're going to be building out AI infrastructure here in UK for a decade.
For an economy that is struggling at the moment, what are the risks for the UK if we don't grasp this opportunity?
Just as the last industrial revolution, the reason why it came about was because you needed it.
Not really.
And so the industrial revolution that started here in the UK came out of need. You need it now too.
For ordinary Britons, is this going to make a difference?
If you're an electrician, you're a plumber, if you're a carpenter, we're going to need hundreds of thousands of them to build all of these factories. And the skilled craft segment of every economy is going to see a boom.
Sure.
And the reason for that is because just about every single country in the world is going to start manufacturing. They're either manufacturing physical things or they're going to manufacture intelligence. And so the manufacturing sector is going to go through a really great resurgence.
We'll go through
over the next few years, estimates suggest more than twice the entire size of the UK economy will be poured into AI infrastructure as companies and countries race for AI supremacy. Britain is a relative minnow in that fight, with a real tussle between Trump's America and Xi Jinping's China. Chips have been a kind of geopolitical flashpoint. Has NVIDIA become more than a chip company, more an arm of US foreign policy?
President Trump is very clear he wants America to win. And President Xi wants China to win. And it's possible for both of them too. The advance of human society is not a zero-sum game. And so I think that for America to win the technology, that win the AI race particularly, it's important that, and President Trump sees this clearly, it's important that all AI companies, that all AI research is built on the American tech stack.
And you were talking earlier about the relationship with China being a roller coaster. Do you regret that? Is it repairable?
Just like all roller coasters, you're strapped in, enjoy yourself.
What?
And so there's only so much you can do in a roller coaster.
This week, Chinese authorities launched a crackdown on the use of NVIDIA chips by their own companies. Huang had hoped to maintain a tenuous peace between the two superpowers by agreeing to only sell basic chips to China and to hand over a portion of the revenue to the White House.
We're disappointed about where we're at, but we're patient about where we're at. Envy is a large company.
Whether his new friend, the Prime Minister, can afford to be as patient waiting for the fruits of this labour is unclear. Amid the razzle-dazzle of these billion-dollar agreements, nothing has yet been said about steel tariffs or digital regulation, or the impact of this energy-hungry technology on net zero. It may well be astute economic planning, and Starmer will be desperate that he's there to see the AI revolution take off.
Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to the Culture, Media and Sports Secretary, Lisa Nandy, and I began by asking her how Keir Starmer's talks with the US president are likely to go tomorrow, given that Donald Trump loves a winner and the British Prime Minister is currently looking a bit like a loser.
Well, I think Britain is winning from the relationship that our Prime Minister has been able to forge with President Trump and his administration. Just this morning, we were able to announce billions of pounds worth of investment into the UK. We're the only country in the world that isn't paying 50% steel tariffs, which has protected thousands of jobs.
You mentioned the tariffs. I mean, even 25% steel tariffs is far more than the steel industry wants. And the government at one stage had promised to bring those down to zero. So if that's not going to happen, what is the point of the special relationship?
Well, we're keen to advance that further, and we've signalled our ambition to try to remove steel tariffs altogether. We know that the steel industry needs support and it's vital to the future of Britain. And I think we have done more than any other government to defend and protect our steel industry. I'm sure those are conversations that the Prime Minister will be having over the next few days. But we've already been able to protect many, many jobs here in Britain because of that relationship, and to start to build new jobs in new industries like artificial intelligence. That's in the interest of the whole country.
Are we making British power, British water, British data available so that American companies can get even richer?
No, so part of the deal that Liz Kendall, the Science and Technology Secretary, announced this morning is about making sure that British companies can really benefit from AI systems and be at the forefront of the AI revolution. And when it comes to Britain and AI, the great strength that we have, what makes us a powerhouse around the world, is the content that we generate through our creative industries. It's one of our greatest assets. So as a government, we are absolutely determined to protect and support that so that we can make sure that people are paid fairly and responsibly for their work, and that we're able to go on creating that incredible content that feeds the AI models of the future.
So a lot of those creative industries are really worried about copyright, and they fear that those tech giants in Silicon Valley will take that away from them.
We're really determined to protect it. Yesterday, we're just holding a round table with tech companies.
Yeah, this is from earlier today, I think. It's running like it's alive, but I think it's just a looped upload from today, because it's dark there now. Okay, it looks like the other stream is up live again. Oh. Okay, hang on. Yeah, it's dark. Hang on. There's just a shot of the castle. Nothing inside yet. Keep an eye on it. There it is. That's all we can see right now. So we'll just keep that in the corner and go back to the Channel 4 coverage for a bit. Oh, that's great.
So on ITV, it says the speeches will take place at the start around 8:30. So it's just
Say
after
again, Casper.
7:30. It says
Say again.
ITV, which is a main channel in the UK. It says President Trump's visit. Speeches take place at the start of the dinner at around 8:30 when the
time is it
King and
now?
Mrs. Trump. It's just it's nearly 20 to 8. So it is.
So in 20 minutes-ish?
Well, no, nearly, 8 minutes off an hour. So it
Oh,
is, it's 8:30. So it is.
yeah, it's still early.
Yeah, it's like, it's coming up to 7:40 here. So it is.
Okay. Okay, so a little under an hour.
Yeah.
Or?
The Independent.
Or?
And the Independent is reporting the same as well, which is take place at 8:30.
Sorry, Casper, your audio is much lower than the video. So.
Them saying the Independent, the newspaper, they're saying the same thing as well. So it's definitely 8:30.
And then we could break and come back. Well, I'll just keep something running here anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like shut down the stream or anything. We'll just play it by ear. If anything looks interesting, I'm gonna be keeping looking around here.
Yeah.
I've got 2 feeds that could be covering the dinner setup. But if I keep opening tabs, it slows down my system a lot. So
yeah.
Well, let me just. I just saw something about getting off her back.
Can you hear him? Like,
Ottawa in a tough spot after Trump calls on NATO countries to see the F-35 deal dropped 6 hours ago. Oh, that's Klaus Kellerman, so I don't know when the threat was made. Hang on, I'm going to pull something up here. Well, that was 2 days ago, so. Yeah, I know. I haven't started the video yet. Hang on. It's just my.
yeah, I can't hear him either.
They're just rattling.
Hmm?
All bullshit.
Can you hear him, Laura? Laura, the sound on that video isn't coming through. If you can hear me.
So you guys couldn't hear that?
No.
I had all of the audios on. That's weird. Let me try it again. All right, just a sec. I'm not sure why you didn't. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can
Oh
you
shit!
hear me?
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! I just okay, not oh shit. All better. I don't know why you can't hear it. Let me try again. Share screen. Also share audio, yes. USA threatens Canada with consequences. Share. Okay. So now?
No.
And he calls this his room with a view.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful view it is. And any room that has a view of any national or provincial park in our country has a fantastic view. Okay, so here's the topic for today's video. The United States has threatened us with consequences should we back out of the F-35 fighter jet contract. And in this video, I'm going to ask you to leave your comments in the comment section of whether you think we should or we shouldn't. But before you do that, let me give you the background information, because a lot of these decisions are a lot more complicated than you think. Let's get into it. Reported in the Ottawa Citizen on September 15th, just a few days ago, the US warns Canada of potential negative consequences if it dumps F-35 fighter jet. The review of Canada's proposed purchase of 88 US-built F-35s is set to be finalized on September 22nd. Now, US officials don't elaborate on what negative consequences are. It seems that they just wanted to float that out there as a warning to us. Now, what is this review that's supposed to end on September 22nd? That's just a few days from now. Well, that's something that started immediately after Mark Carney was elected. One of the first things he did was order his defense minister to do a review on this purchase of F-35 fighter jets from the United States. And as was reported here in an article on CBC on March 15th, Canada had awarded a contract for 88 F-35 fighters, and payment for the first 16 have already been made. And this contract is worth about $100 billion just on the purchase of the planes, plus maintenance in the future, upgrades in the future, and plus. Now, all of that money represents a payment from the government of Canada to a US firm that would build these. All the building and all future maintenance would be done in the United States. But pretty much immediately after Mark Carney was elected, he signaled a reevaluation of how Canada procures military hardware. And this article here from Defense News on June 24th, Canada and the EU signed Defense Pact that could enable joint weapons work. This is when Canada for the first time was invited to the EU summit. They renamed it the EU-Canada Summit in Brussels. And in that summit, Canada joined as a partner with the European Union in a $1.3 trillion defense spending initiative. And one of the major European countries that builds military equipment is Saab. Now, one of the key factors that could influence this decision is that Saab has now indicated that they would build those fighter jets in Canada. In fact, if you go to Saab's website here and you navigate to the Canada section. You can see it on their own website here. Made in Canada Fighter. The Gripen program will create 6,000 new high-paying jobs across Canada per year over the course of a 40-year period. These are direct jobs relevant to the program and related investments. They also come with the added benefit of intellectual property transfer from Saab, helping to build additional capabilities in Canada's aerospace industry. They go on to say Gripen will be built, maintained, and upgraded in Canada, together with our Canadian partners, following a contract award. Saab will also establish a Gripen Center in Montreal that will employ Canadians to manage and maintain the country's Gripen fleet. We have also announced that Saab will invest in a cyber resilience center in Toronto, a sensor center in Vancouver, and an aerospace R&D center in Montreal. Now that sounds like a pretty sweet offer. Saab doing everything in their power to try and get Canada to switch, dump the F-35, and commit to building their jets in Canada. It doesn't sound so bad. And this has been a common theme with Mark Carney now. Just recently, on September 16th, the headline is German or South Korean subs. We're also trying to decide who should we buy submarines from. And I believe the Canadian government's looking at buying 8 to 12 new submarines. Ottawa's pick will hinge on economic windfall. Spending on major military projects must boost economy, says Carney Defense Procurement Secretary of State. And I would point out that both these submarine contracts stipulate that the manufacture and the maintenance will be done in Canada. Made in Canada with Canadian materials, building maintenance facilities and ongoing maintenance for decades to come in Canada. And this goes hand in hand with another announcement Mark Carney made, that Canada promises to spend 5%, not 2%, of GDP on defense by 2035. And at the same time, make sure that that spending has the biggest impact on the Canadian economy. Now, let me just talk about military spending in general here with a picture of the Gripen in the background. For the longest time over the past decades, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the United States has always wanted Canada to spend more on its military. And Canada has always been reluctant to spend more on our military because there's a marked difference between military spending in the United States and military spending in Canada. I'm going to explain it to you. The US economy almost relies on military spending. They're the country that spends by far the most on military of any country on earth. And whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm just going to explain how the economics works. The way it works is the US government, which spends far more than it raises in taxes, borrows money from abroad. The US government then injects that money into its own economy by building its own military. All the military procurement within the United States, those contracts go directly from US federal government to US-based military companies that make everything that they use, their whole military complex. When the United States increases military spending, they're basically injecting money into their own economy. The government is directly funding growth and jobs in their own economy. On the other hand, for Canada, it goes something like this. The United States demands that we spend more on our military, but they insist that we buy from them. They want us to buy their equipment that's built in their country, citing national security concerns. The United States has never wanted or encouraged, you could almost say never allowed, Canada to have its own military complex. They're interested in us buying military equipment from them. Up till now, Canada increasing its military spending basically meant that the federal government of Canada would inject cash into the US economy. And that dynamic has always resulted in Canada being reluctant to increase spending and the United States always demanding us to spend more. But now Canada is taking more and more liberty to do military spending deals with other countries other than the United States. For example, while Donald Trump was saying something like, if Canada wants to be safe, well, they'll have to pay $50 billion for the Golden Dome. That's what we call it. We like gold, so we call it the Golden Dome. And then they'll be safe from all the threats. It's a nasty world out there. There's lots of threats, lots of nasty things. Some people say the most nasty of them could be for Canada. Canada's got a lot of nasty things happening up there under the ice, and they got a lot of ice. So for $80 billion, they could choose They could get it for free if they become a 51st state, or they'll have to pay $200 billion so that we'll make them safe. But either way, it's up to them. They could, for free or $300 billion, they can choose. I think I kind of mixed up my Donald Trump impersonation with my Marlon Brando impersonation. While he said something like that, Canada was quietly ignoring him and announced a $6 billion deal with Australia to develop Arctic radar missile detection system, a deal where companies from Canada and Australia will work together to build this system, manufacturing and jobs in both countries. But now, as Canada is pivoting from this situation and turning more to integrating with the EU and possibly canceling this F-35 contract, US diplomats strategically leaked this. US warns Canada of potential negative consequences if it dumps the F-35 jet. Now, what are these negative consequences? The article doesn't explain that, but it's all very vague. But let me paint a picture for you now. One thing that's happening behind closed doors that we all know is Canada and the United States negotiating trade. And we all know that CUSMA, USMCA, is scheduled for review next year. And one of the cards that Canada is holding now is this F-35 fighter jet contract. And just to give you an idea of how big this contract is, the 88 planes, the initial price for those 88 planes I mentioned was about $100 billion. Well, $100 billion is about how much oil we export to the United States in one given year, more than the value of all the autos that Ontario exports to the United States in one given year. A $100 billion contract is huge, and it's the type of contract that's not decided by private industry. The federal government in Canada has total control of how much it spends and who it gives the contract to. And from the day Mark Carney took office, he realized how important a negotiating card this contract would be. And that's why it's been reviewed. And it's kind of held up there now like I think a negotiating tool. So what's the end game here? Let's go back to the question I asked you at the beginning of the video. Should we dump the F-35 contract in favor of the Gripen contract? Now, before you answer, again, let me give you one more thing to think about. We should take possession of the 16 F-35s that we've already paid for, and then we should end that contract, and we should do a deal with Saab and get the Gripen built here in Canada. That's my opinion. That's what I would kind of like to happen as a proud, patriotic Canadian, as I'm sure a lot of you would share this opinion. But what might be a smarter thing to do, and what I think will probably happen, is that the government will do this. They'll just delay. They won't do anything. They'll continue to study this. They'll say things like, we finalized our assessment of this matter on September 22nd, and now we're considering our options. And this will be used as Canada's trump card, excuse the pun, as we negotiate our trade relationship with the United States. And those negotiations are going to heat up and become more and more intense next year when the USMCA and CUSMA has to be reevaluated. This is the biggest card we hold. And I would be surprised if our government commits either way, unless the positives of having the Gripen manufactured in Canada are overwhelmingly positive, or if there's some concession that the US would make regarding the renegotiating of USMCA if we honor this contract. All of those things are getting discussed behind the scene. And it may be that we don't make what many of you would consider the right decision if you only look at this issue alone. If you're only looking at, should we buy the Gripen or the F-35? I think it's a very simple decision. But once you include the renegotiation of our entire trade agreement with the US, then maybe a different decision will be made. So now that I've completed the whole discussion and given you the whole flavor of this issue, now let me know in the comment section, what do you think we should do?
Thank you, Klaus. So I don't know if any of you guys watch The Enemy Within or The Enemy from Within. Trucker Guide, Anti-MAGA channel. He's been getting a lot of traction lately, and he's been talking about Canada a lot, and he had a collab with Guard the Leaf. So I might hit him up and see if he wants to do a collab with us. I might hit up Klaus. There's a few people. I'm still looking for a Canadian drain assistant or someone who wants to write or do other stuff to help with the Canadian drain part of Political Drain. So if any of you out there are Canadian and want in on this, this lucrative gig, please just email us at politicaldrain@gmail.com and we'll talk. And speaking of that, geez, I did a whole rant on what? You want us to shut up about Charlie Kirk? And then, god damn it, the very next day, our fucking parliament recognized him with a standing ovation or a minute of silence or some crap, and I was just irate. So now I have to do a follow-up video saying, shut up about Charlie Kirk. Oh dear. What a difference a day makes.
Yeah.
Hey Nanya, you can still be a help. You don't have to be Canadian. It helps to be a Canadian, but you can just come on in. Just get a hold of us. Sorry, Casper, you were going to say?
Sorry, my head's gone. It'll come back to me. Hopefully.
Okay. I'm checking over on TV2's channel, and they're just giving some shots of picturesque, oldie Englandy villages and stuff. So, and weather reports. And on Guardian, there's nothing live yet.
It said on the news feed, the live news feed, it says a number of businessmen have just arrived. A number of American businessmen have arrived as well for the state banquet. Apparently, they travelled with the president on our first one. That guy that was on there from Nvidia, he's there. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
that's all right. Okay. What channel? On BBC?
No, it's The Guardian. It's just in text, so it is. So it's
I
on
see.
The Guardian on the live.
Gotcha.
thing.
Yeah, okay.
Apple, Tim Cook as well, and OpenAI Sam Altman are all having dinner there.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with them, so.
Yeah, this is okay, let me just have a little look around on YouTube. Oh, crap. New York Times Live. Independent Live. Oh. I hope we get Danny back in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can sympathize. My internet is never okay. So it isn't.
Okay, what do we got here? Grand
Has it
State
been okay? Yeah.
coming up. I'm sorry, but say again, Casper.
I said, has it been okay? I haven't went the buffering circle or anything yet. No.
Oh, I haven't got any buffering circles.
No, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's anything going on YouTube that I can pick up. I'll just show that how embarrassing for Canada. And I'm not sure who this backbencher person was that made the request for Parliament to stand up. Here it is. Rachel Gilmore. It's sickening. I don't know why I'm showing it, but just filling time.
Yeah.
Kirk was a bad man, yes, Nunya.
That's what I was going to say. There was like, unless people like really follow, you know, America politics and things like that, you know, a lot of people here wouldn't really, you know of him, you know, until obviously what happened, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's people here that follow him and stuff, and there's people here like that had like rallies and things, you like held like the like gatherings for him and stuff as well, you know. So, but they would be more into the American sphere of politics and things, I think, you know, to be more aware, you know, of, you know, certain people in American politics, you know, than others.
Right.
The Canadian House of Commons just gave a standing ovation to Charlie Kirk. The Liberals stood up too.
Freedom of speech is the cornerstone of a free society. It means we will hear ideas that we disagree with and express views that may be offensive. This freedom can make us uncomfortable or even hurt, but silencing voices, whether for a moment or forever, is never the answer. We must protect a society where people can hold beliefs and share opinions without fear of losing their jobs, being censored, or worse. Charlie Kirk was an outspoken advocate for faith, family, and freedom. Many disagreed with him, some were offended. Tragically, on September 10th, he was assassinated in an attempt to silence his voice. But when has political violence
Wasn't an
ever been the
assassination.
solution?
It
It
was a murder.
destroys dialogue, it undermines democracy, and it breeds fear instead of understanding. True progress comes from persuasion, not intimidation. As we grapple with our personal response to this, may we be honorable in our actions. May we fiercely defend the right of our opponents to speak freely. And may we join our hearts with Charlie's family, his wife Erica, and his 2 young children. Rest in peace.
Can someone please tell them that you can and should oppose political violence without doing all of this? You don't have to pretend that someone was something that they're not. You don't have to send the message to all of the communities that were hurt by that person that they don't matter. There was no standing ovation for Anas al-Sharif. In fact, we can't even get our government to commit to a full 2-way arms embargo. But the person we do give a standing ovation to in our parliament is this guy. We gave a standing ovation to a guy who said,
sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
a standing ovation for this.
You had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped. And she was going to give birth and she would, no, wait. Oh, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
It's no, but it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
The best time for media, government, and employers to understand social media and how it can be gamed by bad faith actors peddling false outrage was like a decade ago. The next best time is right now. Instead, hundreds of people are losing their job, including for as little as just reposting what Charlie Kirk actually said, because employers would rather make a problem go away by getting rid of an employee than actually stand up to the bad faith actors on the internet that are targeting them. Government officials would rather placate and rewrite history by standing up and giving a standing ovation than risk the wrath of an extreme minority of the population over refusing to do so. Until they understand how social media is gamed, we're going to keep seeing this play out again and again and again. And a lot of innocent people are going to and have paid the price for you not understanding a bad faith actor when you see one. The Canadian House of Commons just gave a standing ovation to Charlie.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Doug, thanks for joining us. I was just, yeah, I saw that headline and then I got diverted to something else. Let me look for it. Trump insults.
Oh, is it for the pact?
No, this happened today, but he did the same thing to Queen E. Watch, Trump insults King Charles in viral moment. Just a sec.
Donald Trump, when he is abroad dealing with other foreign leaders, his historical bad behavior becomes an international scandal and issue. And it does not help, especially in this breaking story, when Donald Trump spends a lot of his time here in the States demeaning and dismissing other foreign leaders like Zelensky. If you don't recall, remember when Donald Trump did this to an African leader?
We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region.
And we have a lot of resources in our seawaters, so lots of fishing and whatnot. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
We have to go. But I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it. Maybe we're going to have to go a little bit quicker than this because we have a whole schedule.
And of course, at G7 a few years back, he deserved to be up front, right, Donald, and just stand there and pose for everyone. This. And Donald Trump always puts himself first, even when it comes to his wife, certainly, and his young son. This.
But then his 11-year-old son appears behind him, the son he left behind in the rain because protecting his hair is more important than protecting his son. He also left his third and current wife behind him in the rain. She's used to that. She handled it the way she always does, as if she and Donald Trump are just two strangers boarding the same.
But when he's abroad, oh, it gets worse. I don't know. Remember this moment with the Queen?
He made the Queen wait for up to 15 minutes in 80-degree Fahrenheit heat before he finally arrived. Now, bowing in for men and courtesying for women are not mandatory when meeting a member of the royal family, but is considered traditional and polite. Thirdly, the president's biggest faux pas came when he was invited to join the Queen to inspect the Guard of Honor. In the visuals on your screen, you can see Trump turning his back on the monarch and marching ahead of her as they walked past the troops. Royal etiquette states that one should never turn their back on the monarch or walk in front of her.
Donald J. Trump is Donald J. Trump. He may be the president of the United States, but for those who have followed him his whole life and are old enough, he's always been this elitist jackhole. It's not even in question. And in this breaking story, he did it again. Every single time he goes to London, he seems like he does it. And here he is dismissing King Charles as if he doesn't even exist. Check out this story. Where do you begin with this man? He acts constantly around foreign leaders as if he's some wealthy person who's paid top price to be in the first chair on a ride at Disneyland or on some tour of the Colosseum. This is foreign diplomacy. This is foreign policy. Yes, I realize we're the U.S.
Oh, God. That.
Again, he did it again.
Jesus Christ. He actually thinks he is the king of the fucking world. And those are his troops and guard and castle. I mean, I'm no monarchist, but I appreciate, tradition and ceremony and all that. But, I mean, it was bad enough to invite him. How could the king allow that? I mean, I know he has to stick with his own whatever protocols, but how could that be allowed?
Because the government ultimately have decided it, so the king will take part.
No, I don't mean. Well, okay, not mean about the visit, but when he's doing that, when he starts to walk in front of the king or the queen, isn't there somebody in the guards that could walk up to him and say, "Hey," like when you're watching the changing of the guard, if you get in their way, they fucking shove you. You know?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
I know they can't shove him, but isn't there someone there to stop him from doing that? Especially since they know he did it the first time.
Yeah. Well, they probably thought then that he wouldn't, do that again.
A big, whoa. And the king didn't, shout at him, "Hey, get back here." I mean, that was just gross. He's just unbelievable. He does everything wrong. And he actually says, wasn't it Epstein asked him, "Why do you like to, hit on married women?" And he said, "Because I know it's wrong, and I do shit because I like doing it because I know it's wrong," something like that.
Gross. Yeah.
There were plenty of people there to stop him, Nanya, but they didn't. He should have been skewered on the spot. Good Lord. All right, let's see what's going on. Oops, TV2's stream was taken down. That's too bad. He was wise enough to use one of his backup channels, though. All right, let's see if there's any pre-banquet chit-chat going on. We've got about how long now?
12 minutes.
All right.
Apparently.
Okay.
He's always late though, isn't he? The thing.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure he'll be late. Banquet. The BBC. Okay. We got some stuff. All right.
Nanya says he has to put on his makeup.
On his hand, especially. Okay, do you guys have audio? I know it's a little bit, it's just loading now, but let me know if you have audio or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Loud belch. Not as loud as Scum TV, though, eh? Casper.
Yeah. Epic.
Loud and proud. Okay, shoot. Why is it stuck? Oh. this is mine. Well,
You are watching BBC News special coverage of President Donald Trump's second state visit to the UK. Today, of course, has been the first full day
well, we
of
have
that
two
visit. It's
Irish
going to
people on
culminate in the
stream
state
now.
banquet shortly. You can have a look at the scene that's coming into us live from Windsor Castle, where that banquet will take place. Guests are starting to gather for that lavish affair. It'll take place in St. George's Hall, at which President Trump and King Charles will both deliver speeches. We will bring that to you live as soon as it gets underway.
Absolutely. Well, our North America editor, Sarah Smith, a little earlier gave us her thoughts on the mood within the Trump camp on this first full day of his second state visit.
Oh, I think he's looked very happy, hasn't he, on all of the images that we have seen so far. And we have seen a lot of him, but heard very little, which, of course, is highly out of character for Donald Trump. But he's been attentively listening to his royal hosts as they've been showing him around in a manner that suggests he really does have a great deal of respect for the British royal family. And we know what one of his priorities was for this trip, because when he was speaking to reporters as he was travelling over, he said, this is going to be a beautiful event and you're going to get the best pictures. That does matter to him. There's TV images of him surrounded by all of this royal grandeur being beamed back to television sets for his voters in America. This is to be seen being honoured in Windsor Castle means a very great deal to him and his public image. And this is a lot more about image than it is about any kind of serious politics or high-level diplomacy. There are not going to be any big deals signed here, no international agreements delivered. It's about flattering Donald Trump, playing to his love, his sentimental love of Britain, the royal family, and some of these more romantic notions of the nation, because staying on the right side of Donald Trump is important. Getting on the wrong side of him can be very, very costly. Other nations have found that out with punishingly high trade tariffs or other problems they've encountered. The UK has done very well so far in maintaining good relations with the Trump administration, and this trip is about seeing if we can keep it that way.
Sarah Smith there at Windsor Castle. Now, the public has not been allowed anywhere near the president today, with security at unprecedented levels around Windsor Castle.
But thousands of protesters marched through London, representing as many as 50 different groups, as our correspondent Tom Simons reports.
Far away from the pageantry and diplomacy at Windsor, the anger and ridicule on London streets. The Trump baby balloons, made famous during his first state visit, were back, as a loose coalition of groups and individuals made clear their opposition to the visit and the lavish welcome the US president has received.
We don't expect Trump to see us and to change his mind. But sometimes I think there's something to be said for knowing that you at least spoke up and did what you could, and you tried to stand on the right side of history.
What worries me most about Trump is that he could dismantle in 4 years the last hopes of us dealing with climate change, with us preserving democracy in Europe.
On the march, we spotted the veteran journalist and historian Max Hastings, who said he hadn't been on a protest since 1968.
He's tearing up the world order. He's a destroyer. If you look at his whole record since he entered office, this is a man who has built, created nothing.
What strikes you about this protest is the wide range of issues that people here are talking about. They say Donald Trump affects the world negatively in so many different ways. But we are a long way away from the US president right now. He's in Windsor. We're in the centre of London.
This act of protest did get closer last night in Windsor. 4 people have been arrested on suspicion of malicious communication. Tom Simons, BBC News, Central London.
Now, we are waiting to bring you that live footage inside the state banquet. We can bring you one image that has been posted on Instagram by the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine. We can see it there of them. They are all dressed up in their finery there for the state banquet. Of course, a dress code of white tie for that banquet, the culmination of really the pageantry of this state visit taking place. And we will have more pictures from inside the hall as soon as we get them. But let's go outside Windsor Castle now to Regini, who is there for us on the grounds. Regini, hi. Just coming back to you there, we were looking at Tom Simon's piece about the protests in London today. I believe a small number of protesters are gathered where you are there outside Windsor Castle.
Yeah, Katrina, on the other side of the gates here, I don't know if it's audible in the background while I talk, but they're probably around 50 or so protesters here in Windsor. It's a relatively small amount. And as you said just earlier, they kept people well away from President Trump, members of the public. So we haven't really seen any direct confrontations. Now, this is really fortified around here. I turned up yesterday and I saw them building a wall, quite literally, a steel barrier around the perimeter of much of Windsor Castle. People who've covered many of these state visits before told me they've never seen security like it before. Unsurprising, given it's President Trump, but really loads of security here, a massive police operation as well. The biggest security operation since the coronation of King Charles. So a real amped up security operation. But so far, everything has been quite peaceful in the sense that the protesters have been on one side. Everything on this side is so far going to plan. And I've just seen some pictures, I don't know if you've got them yet, of the arrivals to the banquet of the King, the Queen, the President and the First Lady. So they have now arrived. I think you've got them on the screen. Perfect timing there, Katrina. So they are arriving. It's customary for a photo to be taken. Then there's going to be a procession, and there's a list that's been shared to the media of who is going to be part of that procession. Names like Tim Cook from Apple, who you mentioned earlier, is going to be part of that as well. And then that state dinner, which is due to kick off in about 5 minutes from now. These things can often slip. We saw that, as Anita well knows, with President Macron's state banquet earlier in the year. So let's see if it starts on time. But obviously things are now ramping up to that moment.
We're keeping an eye out for that any moment now. Regini, thank you very much.
Yes, and looking at that still image of the King and Queen, or we were just a second ago, the President and First Lady, ahead of that banquet. We will bring you those speeches live as soon as they begin. Lots to discuss afterwards. Stay with us here on this special edition of The Context.
Inside the castle walls, well away from the public, the airspace over Windsor closed. President Trump was about to be given the very best in royal hospitality. Welcoming him, the Prince and Princess of Wales. "You look beautiful," the President told Catherine. Ready and waiting, the King and Queen. There was a familiarity, even an informality to this group. The most senior members of the royal family and the President and First Lady. Like all state visits, there was a carriage procession, but the weather was unpredictable, so the carriages weren't open as planned. And any procession would usually be through the town centre. Not this one. A security risk meant it weaved its way through the castle estate instead, with a full military escort. But if you're looking for the ultimate in pomp and pageantry, this was it. The splendour of the castle quadrangle, the massed bands of the foot guards and the pipes and drums. And a president soaking up every moment. Ushered forward by the King, Donald Trump led the inspection of the Guard of Honor. As the President thanked the Guard commander, the king warned him to watch out for the sword, a moment of levity amidst the formality. Even within the castle walls, the security around the president was tight. After laying a wreath privately at the tomb of the late Queen, they toured St. George's Chapel.
A lot of history.
Melania Trump viewing the beauty of this 14th century building from beneath the brim of her eye-catching hat. And a final flourish ahead of tonight's state banquet was the beating retreat ceremony. Military drills and bands filled the castle's east lawn, as the VIP guests braved a chilly British afternoon.
Hello and welcome to a Context special on BBC News with me, Katrina Perry in Washington.
And me, Anita McVeigh in London, as we focus on the first full day of Donald Trump's state visit to the UK. A day dominated by pomp and ceremony as the royals host President Trump for what is his second state banquet at Windsor Castle. We'll bring you all the latest.
You are watching a Context special on this, the first full day of President Trump's historic second state visit to the UK. Let's have a look now at the scene live at Windsor Castle, where that state banquet will take place. About 160 guests are gathering there ahead of that banquet, hosted, of course, by King Charles and Queen Camilla.
Yes, it's a formal white tie event taking place in St. George's Hall, the largest room in the castle. The 50-metre, that's 164-foot table, stretches the full length of the hall. Both President Trump and King Charles will be making speeches, which we'll bring you live. Now, let's show you again these stills that we've received in the last few minutes of the senior royals. Here we have the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine, looking resplendent there ahead of the banquet. And then there you have King Charles, Queen Camilla, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump in this image released just a few minutes ago ahead of the banquet and those speeches that the King and the President will be making.
And of course, these 160 guests are going to be seated at a table that is the length of an Olympic swimming pool. I mean, it's almost too big to comprehend, isn't it? They'll be cared for by 100 members of staff there at Windsor Castle. And we have got a look at the menu, what they'll be all sitting down to eat. So let's have a little run through that and whet our collective appetite doing so. They're going to begin with the panna cotta de cresson et œuf de caille sur sable du parmesan, which in English is Hampshire watercress panna cotta with a parmesan shortbread and quail egg salad. For their main course then, ballotine de poulet fermière en robe de courgette, which is an organic Norfolk chicken ballotine wrapped in courgettes with a thyme and savoury infused jus. And then for dessert, a bombe glacée cardinal, which is a vanilla ice cream bomb with Kentish raspberry sorbet interior with lightly poached Victoria plums. So as Regina was telling us earlier, it's diplomatic protocol to print the menu in French, but very much embracing the best of British cuisine and British produce there to honour the President and the First Lady, hosted at Windsor Castle by the King and Queen.
And let me just tell you a little bit about the drinks menu, although I should preface that by saying that, of course, President Trump
done that with this one. It's very business heavy.
Then you did sound good.
Smattering of politicians, as you would expect. Smattering of politicians, as you would expect.
There's Ed Balls there, isn't there?
Yeah, Ed Balls.
And behind him, Jensen Huang
David
from
Lammy.
NVIDIA.
That's an interesting conversation because Yvette Cooper replaced David Lammy as Foreign Secretary.
Sam Altman there from OpenAI.
So,
just turning around, looking to his left.
yeah, so these tech billionaires are going to be, Sam Altman. So these tech billionaires are going to be used to being the star of their show.
Yeah.
And
but this is money can't buy, and money can't buy experience, and that's what everyone always says about Donald Trump as well. He had his first state visit. How do you then top that with a second one, and again send him home with kind of these amazing memories? And
so
he
Mark Rowley, the head of the Metropolitan Police, I think, is that Caroline Levitt, who does all the press briefings for Donald Trump. I think it was. We have no control over the cameras, so we can't go back to it. But I think it was quite an extraordinary, incredibly young Dominic, Caroline Levitt, and she stands up in the White House, twice
It would be cool to get some looks at the
extremely effective communicator and
inner workings, like the kitchen and
effective at sort of handling the
table
rowdy
and all
White House
that
press
stuff.
corps. And I suppose she obviously would be at this dinner alongside other prominent members of the administration. I mean, it is, as Rhiannon was saying, it's a once in a lifetime ticket, isn't it? And we've got it's kind of a who's who of American business. Tim Cook, Larry Fink from BlackRock, Jensen Huang, and Sam Altman, and a who's who of British and American diplomacy and government as well. And it's typical of a president who regards himself primarily as a businessman who operates and runs politics like a businessman, who wants to make deals, and he hopes that he's going to be able to make deals, and these guys traveling with him will be able to profit from this trip. I guess the challenge for his host is that he generally is somebody who feels that deals should favour one side and not the other. He doesn't believe in win-win deal making. He believes that you have a winner and you have a loser. And so, how much of these very powerful tech titans, how much are they going to be taking Britain to the cleaners in any deals that are done? That will be the concern, I think, for people looking on. Or are they going to bring so much American money that it will create many, many British jobs, and that will give something for Keir Starmer to show for all his efforts and the lavish spectacle that's been put on for the benefits of his presidential guest.
So these are the guests turning up at St George's Hall inside Windsor Castle for this very grand occasion, the state banquet this evening, and we're expecting a royal procession to begin fairly soon. It'll be interesting. You walk in to that. The first thing you'll go and do is have a look at the place names.
Yeah. And who have they decided it's appropriate for you to sit and have dinner
just
party
wander around
conversation
and
with?
have a look and try and find yourself on.
I mean, who's in charge of the Place Mort, do you think? I wonder, it's a very, very...
Ultimately, the King and Queen, apparently.
Well, it says, I'm just reading something now, it says the King's private secretary will be responsible for, it says, making the table plan work.
Yes. Look, it's both the government, the White House, and the royal household who all sort of put names forward of who they think should be there. And of course, this represents transatlantic relationships. But in the end, it is up to the royal household. So yeah, the private secretary, I suspect, Clive Alderton, probably has a good look over it. And ultimately, because we're filming it, they don't want anyone kind of...
Casper, any input on that? Do they have those kind of sexist rules with the royals? Are women allowed to wear pants?
I don't think I've seen it too often, actually.
Off with her pants.
I'm not sure if it's a rule or... Yeah. I think the ladies at those dinners mostly have like gowns and, very expensive ones.
Yeah.
So they...
You've got pretty casual little flowers in the little bud vases. Just do you call those daisies?
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are just like wildflower collections. That's kind of a nice touch. I like that, but it's I'm not sure what the message is.
Yeah.
His work as a trade envoy. Prince Andrew, who of course lives just a very short way away from here in Royal Lodge on the Windsor estate,
Yes,
is absent for a whole
He is
number
not
of
on the
reasons.
list.
He is definitely not on the list.
They might have
I
said,
do wonder though, looking at this, I mean, as we were saying, it may not be a template for future state visits, but looking at that,
if they did, I didn't notice whether
you
they
sort of wonder whether
mentioned who
Windsor
he's
Castle
sitting
might be used a bit
beside
more
or across from.
for, visits, not
Is
necessarily
he at
state
one
visits,
end of
but
the
to provide
table?
a
Is
bit
he
more
in the middle
for
of
sort
the
of royal
table? I don't know.
hospitality in these kind of events.
I think it's a better setting than Buckingham Palace. Yes, Buckingham Palace is monarchy HQ. But for a visiting dignitary like President Trump, like President Macron earlier in the summer, there is something very quintessentially British about attending an event at a castle set in the countryside. The grounds are spectacular and beautiful. We saw that in the pictures today. Donald Trump getting his carriage procession around the Windsor estate. I would say it looks more grand, spectacular than that trip up the Mall.
Particularly for Americans, I think, who have enormous envy and respect, but enormous envy for our nation's history. Sir Anthony Southern was saying earlier today, this castle is 4 times the age.
See, they need all those flowers and all those candelabra because that helps get rid of the smell of his farts and his armpits and his ketchup and you know how like you light a match in the bathroom? Light those fucking candles now.
Oh. We were just talking about Dominic, and I think she's still in her 20s, 27, 28?
Late 20s, I think, yes.
Yeah.
And she's had a remarkable career from Fox News to being the official White House spokeswoman.
But as you say, quite an effective communicator.
Yeah, if you go back to Sean Spicer, of course, was the first spokesperson who didn't have a particularly illustrious career and was rather lampooned, wasn't he?
Yeah.
She's been much more effective at marshalling the sort of rather uncontrollable White House press corps, and also inviting other members of the press, the sort of further fringes of American media, to be involved and give them a chance to question the White House policy. So, she's a very important member of the administration. Therefore, it's not surprising she's on the list to be.
Whatever you say, whatever you say, it is a much more stable White House this time round, isn't it? Because Donald Trump went through some senior figures very quickly in his last administration: national security advisors, communications officials. This time round, it's been very different, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think the sense we had first time round was he was surprised that he won, and therefore he didn't have a team that he had handpicked, and he relied on the Republican Party to come up with names. And there were a lot of what were described in times as grown-ups. They were former spy chiefs, former military chiefs, generals. And although that was reassuring, I think, to America's allies, they were seen as kind of stabilizing ballast in the administration. They obviously were a problem for him. They held him back, he felt. They were kind of anchors sort of impeding him in terms of exactly what he wants to do. He wasn't prepared. He's not been prepared to make that same mistake. So he's gone into the White House this time with people who are very much more in line with his agenda, which is alarming, I think, to Americans who don't share that agenda. But it certainly has made, as you said, for a more radical but a more stable White House in terms of how it's actually operated and how it sort of runs on a day-to-day basis.
And the speeches, they will be, well...
I think, is Sky like the equivalent of Fox?
Presumably
Folks?
they are written.
Casper?
No, it's not.
Is it like CNN then?
Yeah, it's more CNN, MSNBC type thing. Originally, it was owned by Rupert Murdoch years ago, but then I think he sold it. He used to own Sky as an entity in the UK. He had a large percentage of it or whatever. I think it was part of his news.
Everybody talks about what Trump has done to the world or what Putin has done to the world. Murdoch has just as much, if not more blame than a lot of people for what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Son of a bitch. All right, well, let me see if there's any other live coverage yet. It doesn't have annoying talking persons.
It said in the Guardian that if you were in America watching, the Guardian had a live feed, but also PBS had a live feed tonight to cover it. So
Public broadcasting?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, PBS.
Right. Actually,
you look.
Alistair Bruce is joining us. I think Alistair Bruce.
Staff at UK's Windsor Castle just exposed Melania Trump, Occupy Democrats 18 minutes ago. I wonder what that's about.
Tell us about the room.
No, I don't want to get all too distracted.
We'll miss it.
Yeah.
We'll miss the speech.
Put together originally as a structure by King Edward III in the 14th century to be a place to celebrate.
Maybe she wore her hat indoors or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or didn't wear it right, or something about the hat, I bet. Okay, filter live.
But we're still waiting for the last people to take their seats. But all the shields around the hall are of Knights of the Garter, the order that goes back.
Watch live. Trump attend White Tie Bank. Okay.
1000th night. So all these things give a sense of the time and history of knightly behavior and these.
I hope there's commentary.
Over the view of this scene as members of the staff try and make sure that all the guests are.
Oh, puppy dog. Oh, crap, just a sec. Keep losing the audio when I speak fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a wee second, okay?
Okay. How you got audio? You guys hear music and low chatter? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear the PBS stream. Might have to load it again. Hi, Jeff. Ah, they're coming in now. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, thank you. Oh my God, was that Melania in the yellow dress? Was she showing her stomach? Yeah, I saw the doggy, Gloria. Oh shit, am I showing the wrong screen? Yes, I am. I got all excited. Oh no, okay. I just switched camera. PBS has a lag, I think. God damn it. And the audio is not my end.
The Guardian Live YouTube, maybe.
Mr. President, Mrs. Trump, it is with great pleasure that my wife and I welcome you to Windsor Castle on this, your second state visit to the United Kingdom. This unique and important occasion reflects the enduring bond between our two great nations, anchored by the deep friendship between our people. This relationship, which with good reason, we and our predecessors have long called special, has made us safer and stronger through the generations. Our people have fought and died together for the values we hold dear. We have innovated, traded, and created together, fueling our economies and cultures through myriad forms of exchange. We have celebrated together, mourned together, and stood together in the best and worst of times. Mr. President, as we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence next year, it is remarkable to think just how far we have come. I cannot help but wonder what our forebears from 1776 would make of this friendship today. The rebel commander and pioneering First President George Washington famously vowed never to set foot on British soil. And my 5 times great-grandfather, King George III, for his part, did not spare his words when he spoke of the revolutionary leaders. Today, however, we celebrate a relationship between our two countries that surely neither Washington nor King George III could possibly have imagined. The ocean may still divide us, but in so many other ways, we are now the closest of kin. Mr. President, you have spoken of your pride in your British roots. In fact, not only have you set foot on British soil twice in the last 2 months alone, but I understand that British soil makes a rather splendid golf course. Now, for my part, I have always admired the ingenuity of the American people and the principles of freedom which your great democracy has represented since its inception. Throughout my life, from the very first visit to the United States in 1970, and over 20 visits since that time, I have cherished the close ties between the British and American people. In fact, had the media succeeded in the 1970s in their own attempt at deepening the special relationship, I myself might have been married off within the Nixon family. Mr. President, from York to New York, from Birmingham, England to Birmingham, Alabama, we are united by a common language and shared heritage. The many thousands of people from each of our countries who have made the other their home have enriched our societies immeasurably, a fact that gives me the greatest pride. Our cultural connections too continue to flourish, with our actors, musicians, writers and television presenters prospering in the hearts of transatlantic audiences. Today, our alliance spans every field of endeavor and shows vast potential for growth. The United Kingdom was your partner in the first trade deal of your administration, Mr. President, bringing jobs and growth to both our countries. And no doubt we can go even further as we build this new era of our partnership. Our two nations have an exceptional legacy of shared discovery. Together, we laid the foundations of nuclear science, mapped the human genome, and built the internet, upon which all contemporary commerce, communication, and defense is based. Together, our scientists and engineers are shaping the world of tomorrow, not least with new partnership agreements on technology and the prosperity that stands to bring. Our countries have the closest defense, security, and intelligence relationship ever known. In 2 world wars, we fought together to defeat the forces of tyranny. Today, as tyranny once again threatens Europe, we and our allies stand together in support of Ukraine to deter aggression and secure peace. And our AUKUS submarine partnership with Australia sets the benchmark for innovative and vital collaboration. The successes of the British Redcoats and of George Washington's Continental Army today stand shoulder to shoulder, brothers and sisters in arms, protecting the freedoms we both cherish. Our countries are working together in support of crucial diplomatic efforts, not least of which, Mr. President, is your own personal commitment to finding solutions to some of the world's most intractable conflicts in order to secure peace. In striving for a better world, we also have a precious opportunity to safeguard and to restore the wonders and beauty of nature for the generations who follow us. We share the ambition and determination to preserve our majestic lands and waters, above all, to ensure that we have clean water, clean air, and clean food. Our legacy for the next 250 years and beyond is to ensure that our children, grandchildren, and those who come after them can experience the awe and magnificence of the natural treasures found in the countryside, on the coasts, in the seas, and in the national parks established by your predecessors and mine. Mr. President, Mrs. Trump, the bond between our two nations is indeed a remarkable one. Forged in the fire of conflict, it has been fortified through our shared endeavors and burnished by the deep affection between our people. Tested time and again, it has borne the weight of our common purpose and raised our ambition for a better world. So in renewing our bond tonight, we do so with unshakable trust in our friendship and in our shared commitment to independence and liberty. Therefore, as we celebrate this unparalleled partnership, allow me to propose a toast to President Trump and the First Lady, and to the health, prosperity, and happiness of the people of the United States of America.
Your Majesty, Melania and I are deeply grateful to you and Queen Camilla for your extraordinary graciousness. And to William and Kate, thank you so much. It's been so great being with you today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's a singular privilege to be the first American president welcomed here. And if you think about it, it's a lot of presidents, and this was the second state visit, and that's the first, and maybe that's going to be the last time. I hope it is, actually. But this is truly one of the highest honors of my life. Such respect for you and such respect for your country. For many decades, His Majesty the King has epitomized the fortitude, nobility, and the spirit of the British monarchy and the British people. He's dedicated himself to preserving the glory and unique character of this kingdom, restoring life to the rivers and streams, supporting the works of its artists and composers, planting trees and gardens in its countryside. And I just visited one of the most beautiful I've ever seen that you just completed, and protecting the architectural integrity of cities, villages, and towns. He has uplifted the poor, cared for rural farmers, and tended to wounded veterans like nobody else. I'll tell you that I just stood in line and shook about 150 hands, and the King knew every single person and every single company, and some of them had bad names like XYZ-Q3, and he knew every one of them, or at least I think he did, because nobody was complaining. I was very impressed with that. But I just want to say that His Majesty has also raised a remarkable son in His Royal Highness, Prince of Wales. Really amazing. We've gotten to know you, and I think you're going to have an unbelievable success in the future. Melania and I are delighted to visit again with Prince William and to see Her Royal Highness, Princess Catherine, so radiant and so healthy, so beautiful. Really great honor. Thank you. Many years ago, His Majesty opened his archives to a biographer. Among the documents was a letter from 1993 in which he described the patriotism and guided his many projects. He wrote that he was, quote, entirely motivated by a desperate desire to put the great back into Great Britain in the finest tradition of British sovereigns. He has given his whole heart, everything he's got, to those parts of Britain that are beyond the realm of mere legislation. It's not easy, but which define its essence and its virtue, its harmony and its soul. It's an amazing calling, and there's nobody that's answered that calling like you have. A fifth of all of humanity speaks, writes, thinks, and prays in the language born on these isles and perfected in the pages of Shakespeare and Dickens, and Tolkien, Lewis, Orwell, and Kipling. Incredible people, unbelievable people like we have rarely seen before, probably won't see again. The lion-hearted people of this kingdom defeated Napoleon, unleashed the Industrial Revolution, destroyed slavery, and defended civilization in the darkest days of fascism and communism. The British gave the world the Magna Carta, the modern parliament, and Francis Bacon's scientific method. They gave us the works of Locke, Hobbes, Smith, and Burke, Newton, and Blackstone. The legal, intellectual, cultural, and political traditions of this kingdom have been among the highest achievements of mankind. There's really never been anything like it. The British Empire laid the foundations of law, liberty, free speech, and individual rights virtually everywhere the Union Jack has ever flown, including a place called America. You know that place very well, don't you? His Majesty spoke eloquently about the bond which inspired Sir Winston Churchill. The bust is in the Oval Office right now, the beautiful bust of Winston Churchill, to coin the phrase special relationship. But seen from American eyes, the word special does not begin to do it justice. We're joined by history and fate, and by love and language, and by transcendent ties of culture, tradition, ancestry, and destiny. We're like two notes in one chord or two verses of the same poem, each beautiful on its own, but really meant to be played together. The bond of kinship and identity between America and the United Kingdom is priceless and eternal. It's irreplaceable and unbreakable. And we are, as a country, as you know, doing unbelievably well. We had a very sick country 1 year ago, and today, I believe we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, nobody's even questioning it, but we owe so much of that to you and the footing that you gave us when we started. Together, we've done more good for humanity than any two countries in all of history. Together, we must defend the exceptional heritage that makes us who we are, and we must continue to stand for the values and the people of the English-speaking world, and we do indeed stand for that. On behalf of all Americans, I offer a toast to one of the great friendships, to two great countries, and to His Majesty, King Charles III, a very, very special man, and also a very, very special queen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with you.
Well, you know, for Christ's sake. He pretty much stayed on script, and God, he can actually a few minor trumpisms in there, of course. A little bit of ad lib, but I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Is that his double? The side of his face isn't drooping as much either. Is that really him? I don't know. I don't know. I'm having doubts. Well, guys, I guess that's it. That's all. Reactions, Casper.
Yeah, I know. They were pretty slow to release what was happening and when it was happening, which I think was on purpose, really, to stop, people trying to disrupt things and things like that, But it seemed to go well for them, though, for a state visit, And I'm sure
Yeah.
tomorrow, I think Melania is being taken round one of the older queen's doll collection or something. So she is when Trump is at Checkers.
Yeah. So
So I think
they already did the wreath laying for Queen Elizabeth, or they were supposed to lay a wreath on somebody's tomb.
that was earlier today.
Okay.
So it was. And they went to St. George's Chapel. Yeah. And I think that she was because she had that same purple hat on. So she did in the photo, I think. Yeah.
Oh God, she looked like that was the most gauche outfit, though. Ugh. I mean, she never has the best taste in clothing, but that was. She looked like a belly dancer, a canary yellow thing. Nanya's disappointed. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed too. I thought there'd be a lot more laughs.
I know.
We did most of our laughing at the television commentators and their lofty language of expectation for this asshole. Oh, well, I'm sure we'll get all the reviews later from all sides of from both sides of the Atlantic and from everywhere else. But well, we can. Anybody in the chat have anything? Any observation to share? Nanya's disappointed. Gloria said he had to throw in how great our country is now after the past 40 years and how hot America is. Yeah. What does he mean by that? Hot. It's we're the hottest country. What does that even mean? That everybody wants a piece of it? It doesn't seem that way to me. Or that, usually hot means sexy, right? Like, there's nothing sexy about any of it. What's sexy about ICE agents and all of it? Anyway.
I thought he meant hot as in the temperature, so I don't like, why is he saying that?
Oh, he's so stupid. Well, it might mean the market's hot, but even that's not hot. Like, what the fuck does he mean? Might be, Gloria says it might mean on fire. Yeah, he could still say something dumb at dinner. Yeah, you're right, Nanya. I'm sure he will, and we'll hear all about it. Jeff says every time he says it, I hear it in Paris Hilton voice. It means nothing. Yeah. Well, all right, folks. Thank you all for tuning in and for
thanks everyone.
Putting up with my tab switching and all that stuff. But
and I kept pressing the wrong button on StreamYard and kept
blink. Now she's here, now she's not. Now she's here, now she's not. And I
was literally trying to connect to the YouTube chat, through the StreamYard, because I only have one screen, so I couldn't do it.
Right. Well, it's especially been a treat to have you here with us, Casper.
Thanks very much.
In case you don't know, everyone in the chat, Casper is our correspondent from Ireland, Northern Ireland, and we hope to have her on much more. She's been doing a lot of writing for Doug, especially, and doing a lot of research and sending us all kinds of headlines from overseas. Now that's hot. All right, and Danny, our other host, who is in at the beginning, she's also been doing a lot of writing and research, and she's going to have her own segment coming up sometime. We hope soon. And remember, you guys too can be a part of this whole family and everything we're doing here. So if you want to join in on it, get vetted, write to politicaldrain@gmail.com. You got all of our Linktree information below. And please join, subscribe, share, become a member, join Patreon, and thank you all. I'll be doing a couple stories. One has to do with Stephen Miller. I've been working on it for a while now, but stay tuned for that one. Peace out, fam. I wish we had the drill sergeant's dance music to go out on. I'll have to get that set up for the next time. Bye for now.
Bye.